say hello also.
Guys, come here. Hey, Pizza is just losing his mind today. He's just like, I think a screw went loose when he was sleeping and like, we gotta do something. He's just starting, like, I don't know why he's like, sorry guys. Hopefully it might be a loud one. So, you know, for those who have commented about the like dog barking, not commented, but you know, like letting us, that you'd like us to let you know when it's going to happen. First of all, we can never do that because we don't know how to do that
until it's happening.
Exactly, and we don't know how to put it on to let you know anyway. But there's probably going to be a lot. I just feel like it's going to be a lot.
Feels like one of those days.
Might be one of those times to watch the podcast not with headphones, maybe is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's a little easier to get some barking if it's just...
It's true.
You know.
And then if you have animals, as some of you do, your animals
They're
can be
gonna be
involved in the podcast. Because really, they're as much a part of this podcast as we are.
Yeah.
Did we introduce ourselves?
No.
Well, welcome.
Hello.
To the Knitting a Good Yarn podcast. My name's Jackie.
And I'm Carmen.
We're coming to you from Southern Ontario, and this is a primarily knitty,
Yes.
often fibery, spinny, always chaotic and chatty podcast with 3 puppies and a lot of wool.
And a lot of wool. And yeah, but you said a lot of chaos. It's funny as I'm saying this, I'm like, I feel like we started the last time like this, but I feel particularly interested in how unprepared I am for this today. Like, I literally haven't even thought. So usually I have an idea, and for some reason I'm like, no, let's just see. I just feel like I just want to see what happens. I don't even know I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I don't know, but it's...
Do we ever know what we're going to talk about?
I think sometimes I have like I might say to myself, like, so I'm gonna introduce this sweater that I threw on, and I'm like, I would normally go back and like find out at least what the wool was and things like that, like what I made it out of. I'm like, no, I think I'll just remember or whatever. Will be under there.
And whatever we don't remember on the podcast, but is like important information, like information about designers and yarns and stuff that we just like blurt out and have pronounced incorrectly. And so you ever find that somebody says something, I'm like, oh, that would be such a great pattern. I'm like, don't know how to spell that. Oh, no idea. You know what I mean? Just like, I don't even know how to start doing that. Anyhow, so when that inevitably happens, we'll direct you to the little drop down description box where we have show notes, as well as show notes are in our Ravelry group, and like where you can find us and all that kind of stuff is like down in the down bar. Yes. I did make a note today because I opened our YouTube studio at some point and realized that we hit a like large number.
Oh, we did?
Well,
like, I thought you were going to say all the amazing comments that I have not had any time to come back. I just know everyone is read, and I want to get back. They are so beautiful. So I'm so sorry. But what, did we hit something?
I just noticed that there seem to be a lot more new people. Yay! So like, hello.
Yeah. Oh no. Don't run away. Keep coming.
So
guys, I need you to come here.
However you got here, we're super glad you're here.
Hey,
I think we did all of the like admin stuff so that you kind of know how things operate in this little corner of YouTube. and land.
It's you. You need to come with me. You need to come with me. I know.
Having a day, huh?
Oh, yes.
So welcome to the seemingly large number of new people who have found their way here, and thank you for coming back. If you've been with us for however long you've been with us, I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. Jackie and I haven't had a chance to see, like, I was off traveling, and like we just haven't been able to like see each other for a few weeks. So it's like,
I feel like this is going to be even more chatty than usual because I'm like, I haven't talked to Carmen. Like we've talked. Yeah. But it's like not the same as like when we're like in each other's company.
Yes, but also time zones. I feel like because I was like, time zones get in the way.
You do,
because it was an extra like 6 hours. So by the time like it's just you end up just sending a few messages as opposed to like messages that you can like back and forth with.
Yeah, because it just like we're not awake at the same time.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I have. So speaking of like feeling unorganized, I try and prepare for this podcast. We talked about the fact that like every single time, every subsequent podcast, we're like less organized, but I do like not a great morning person, and I'm always supposed to be here earlier than I actually ever arrive here because we often have like an end time.
Yes.
And
in golf season.
And also
enough,
like when I, you know, anyhow, what was I saying? Oh, so I try and like get everything ready the night before so that I'm not like running around trying to find like, oh, where's that skein? And did I grab the thing? And like, did I bring the buttons? Like those kinds of things. And so I got ready yesterday and then I woke up this morning, and speaking of like a day that feels like a little bit more fluid, I was like, I woke up this morning, I was like, I want to bring this and this and this and this and this. So I have like, I kid you not, there's probably, if I look at the pile, there's probably at least 6 whips here, and probably 5 finished objects, 6, maybe 6, that haven't showed up on the podcast. Not that I've like finished in the interim, but like just haven't made it on the podcast. And so I don't know what's happening today.
Me neither.
Yay. We broke 3 hours last episode.
That's good warning.
We're gonna do our best to stay under 3. I feel like now that we've like hit that milestone.
Are we?
No,
I don't. I mean, well, we can, but I think that we just do our thing, and we just create until it feels like it's the thing, right?
Yeah,
it's
until
like it feels
we
like
feel
that
complete,
feels
like
good.
we're done. Yeah. This like anecdote is coming up. I used to co-facilitate or like co-teach therapy, like half therapy, half educational sort of like group, and so my teaching partner and I, when we first started, we would like meet, you know, the day before, like before the session, and we'd like come up with a plan and like here's the things that we were going to talk about. And then as we got more comfortable, we would show up and actually just like sit and breathe together for a couple of minutes, and then we would go in like without a plan. And I'm sure it has to do with the fact that like we found our rhythm, but I also know that like the most impactful sessions for me, when I like reflect on them, they were the ones that were like completely unplanned, or the ones where we like took the education piece and kind of like chucked it out the window, or you like go in with a plan and be like, oh, this is like not actually happening. And that's what this reminds me of.
100%.
Is that like we have it's a knitting podcast at the end of the day, right? Like we have the freedom to just play with it and see what happens. And in a way, I feel like there's not so much in the world where like that sort of creative fluidity is like celebrated. It's like we love order, and like I'm a AAA human being. I love it. You are having a day, aren't you?
He's having a moment.
You're having a day. So oh, that was too much attention. It was like there's too much. So I just feel like
it's a nice opportunity.
It's a nice opportunity for us to kind of be a little counter culture.
I love it.
And if that's something that you're into, great. If that's something that you're like, oh my gosh, these ladies are so chaotic and their podcast is too long, I also like honor you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Like go
watch
find
what
your
you
thing,
want
watch
too.
what you want. Like,
you know,
our
if
time
it's
is
too
so
much
precious.
and you only watch some of it,
cool.
Good.
Yeah.
We still love you. Great.
I was recently, we were away somewhere where like Wi-Fi was not consistent or like accessible. So like, I feel like I've been actually out of my like usual podcast like world. Like there are all these new episodes from like our friends who have dropped things and I haven't like watched anything.
I know.
And I'm starting, because I tend to like make a like ritual of it. Like I'll be like, I'm waiting until Friday night. There's a new episode. Like I'm not in the club, so I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna like watch my podcast.
We are really cool, okay? We're cool.
I don't even pretend.
No, I don't either.
Right? Like, so.
Oh, and I'm just gonna keep bumping you. That's what I do all this whole time. Sorry.
But I also think that, I need to be a little bit flexible, in terms of saying like, maybe I should start putting on podcasts like in those transition periods, in like 10 minutes, like 15 minutes.
Yes.
Like all that kind of
thing. Do you know why you should? Because you feel like you should. Like that's really it.
Yeah.
Like it's like there's no right answer. It's just that is coming to you now, and you honor that and do it. And then if other times you're like, I feel like having the ritual, like it's like just listening.
That like creative fluidity. It's like just do whatever you feel like. So 10 minutes and there's no knitting. But that's pretty like that's
standard.
Pretty standard us.
I'm sure there are people that are like...
They've already like, bye.
No, I actually think people who've been with us are probably like, yep, so the first 10 minutes, just... Or maybe it's just on, or they just skip to the, and Jackie always does these little bookmark things, so
yes, they're little chapters.
You'll be able to do what you like.
Oh, we forgot to talk about this before, but we have a giveaway.
Yes, I realized that after when you started talking about what we were going to do. I was like, oh, right, don't we even have that?
We have a giveaway that we said last episode that we were going to come on and do a live, but then we got the dates wrong.
And I happened to be in the was I in the Netherlands?
Yeah, you were in the Netherlands on the day that I was like, hey, like what time are we going to Instagram Live? And you're like, I'm on a plane.
Airport? Can we do it from here? And then we're like, maybe just...
Anyway, so we are going to do that.
When?
Before the end of today.
Okay. So we're not announcing on this, but by the end of the today, we will contact the folks who have won the giveaway. Are we doing this on a live, or we're just gonna like put it on the thing? Okay.
I don't know.
You just gotta wait. What are we gonna end up doing?
I don't know. Something will come out to y'all. Anyhow.
Dog hair on my face. I like it.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we should talk about some knitting, and I like last time because we're talking in the summer now, so I'm so hot in linen. So you start because you're in wool.
Well, I adore your air-conditioned house. So I don't know if, like, I feel like the Instagram knitting world. The Instagram knitting world is like everyone's like, it's fall. Can we talk about the fact that today with the Humidex, it's 40 degrees Celsius. That's like what 100, like that's over 100 Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Like I do not at all feel like autumn vibes at all.
Oh God.
Like
I have a pumpkin spice tea that it was actually a little cool like last week, and I almost had it and I was like, no, it's still August. I'll wait till September. And then September hits and it was like burning hot. Like I'm like, no, so it's not, so it's not pumpkin spice time yet.
Like for me, for those of you who are like in the Southern Hemisphere, I know there are a bunch of you who watch us from the Southern Hemisphere, like happy spring.
Yeah.
It is like the summeriest I am in the summeriest mood of my life right now.
Yeah.
I'm just like always out of season. Anyhow.
Let's just see what's happening over here. Did you crop this?
I did.
Yes, you did. It's beautiful.
So, this is the Pressed Flowers cardigan.
Oh my gosh.
By Amy Christoffers. Knit in Nutiden Yarn held single-stranded as the main color in the colorway Onska. And then the contrast color is my handspun.
Of course it's her handspun. Now anything that's going to be like this is going to be her handspun. Do you know, I just, look at this green that just is popping. Like this is what I love about this. Sorry, you talk, but I'm like overwhelmed. Is that coming across on the camera? Do you see this like green? Like these just like parts. Oh, it's just beautiful.
So I love this. I love it so much. We've talked about the fact that this particular pattern and Carmen's version of it, which is in a bunch of episodes back, I'll put it in the show notes, is the reason that I became a spinner. And I am just so delighted with how this turned out.
It's gorgeous.
Now, if you look at it, it does not look like Carmen's.
I was just gonna say, I almost want to grab mine so you can see it. Like mine is hugely baggy, oversized, slouchy. Not like this is like tailored, chic, like.
And a total accident.
Buttons. Oh.
Well, it's not a total accident. So swatching is not my forte. And I basically just
do swatch.
I do swatch sometimes. Sometimes I swatch.
Last time you didn't swatch too, and I was surprised.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes I swatch, sometimes I don't. For this particular thing, okay. I mean, the handspun, I'm really happy with my handspun, but I just need to take a moment to wax nostalgic about Nutiden again. So this colorway, I knew that I wanted to knit this cardigan in this colorway, and because every sort of color of Nutiden has a different blend of the sort of Swedish wools. I feel like Nutiden tells me, sometimes Nutiden tells me what gauge it wants to be.
Yes, that makes sense.
So I just sort of, like, this is knit bottom up. So you knit along the body, then you split the front and back, and then you pick up the arms and you knit down. So I started here, and I basically just started with, I think, a US 1. US 1 for the ribbing, and then went up to a US 2.5 for the body. And so although I didn't intend for this to be like teeny tiny, it turned out teeny tiny. I'm really happy with how it turned out actually.
It fits you perfectly, like with your body and with this like dress, it's perfect. Like if I put it on, it's gonna be bolero. Right?
I think we should try it.
Here, but
I think we should try it.
No,
but so this is a finished object, sort of. So in the pattern, there's also buttons. I did actually make the buttonholes. I did in fact also get the buttons. These amazing buttons that I feel like are these like mother, like, isn't that a great match?
It's 100%. It's right? Exactly what your
exactly what the handspun looks
Plus,
like.
It actually has even that feeling in the Onska too.
In the Onska. But when I tried it on like this, I was like, I don't know that I'm ever gonna button it up.
I think it actually, so many sweaters don't work open. They kind of flop and do weird things.
Yeah.
This is working completely open. Like you don't want to, I wouldn't want to button that at all. So and it's actually quite beautiful not having the buttons, although they are really perfect. So.
But I sort of feel like I'm like, am I ever gonna button it up?
Right.
And you know, okay, here's my AAA personality like coming out. If I put the buttons on, look at this like pro pot. If I put the buttons on,
it may not be a place you want me to like
hold my buttons for me.
I can if you want.
If I put them on, then it's going to be asymmetrical.
Yes.
Like there's going to be one side with buttons and then one side without, and that would make me banana pants.
But that's what all cardigans open are. So do you always button up your cardigans?
I don't wear that many cardigans with buttons. I wear a lot of like long, like
or like, things like this,
or things like this. Or
I think
like
your answer's there.
So I think even though they aren't really the perfect buttons, and part of me is just like, I'm sorry, you're supposed to be at home here. I think I'm gonna leave the buttons off. And the nice thing about like sort of like this rusticy Nutiden woolly wool is like you can't really tell that the buttonholes are there. You
cannot tell because I actually looked, because I was like, oh, you made it without buttons.
Intentionally.
Like, because that's what it looked like.
Yeah. So
oh,
I love it so much.
It's beautiful.
I never knit cardigans. I understand why people knit cardigans, and we've talked about this before with this pattern. Like we've waxed nostalgic about this pattern, so I'll try and like keep it tight today.
As we do.
The fit of this cardigan is amazing.
But it's completely different than my fit. So how?
I think it's something about, for me personally, I think it's something about the like garter.
Yeah.
The garter and the waffliness and the mosaic and the V ratio. Like the ratio that Amy Christoffers does the decreases along here is just absolute perfection. So it is like a little drop shoulder to pick up around here. Good.
And I wanted to say that was one of the ththings, that's one of the reasons I, if you go back, made this cardigan, because I was tired of, because I like cardigans actually.
Yeah.
But I would make ones that were more like a crew neck sweater that then is just basically like cut in the middle. And you couldn't wear it open because or I couldn't wear it open. I felt that was difficult because it would fall. So it was the V I was looking for, and then you're right, like the way she's done it was like masterful.
It's amazing.
It's beautiful.
It's absolutely amazing.
And it's a fast knit too, even except for the I remember the sleeves feeling forever.
So it's a mosaic knitting pattern, and it's interesting, I'm guilty of this. I'm like, pearls are evil. Knits are amazing, but pearls are evil. Yeah. But I've knit this as a pullover, and then I've knit it as a cardigan. And having knit both, I would say, actually, I think that the number of knits and pearls between the cardigan, which you're knitting flat, and so it seems like there's going to be fewer pearls because it's kind of like a garter backdrop with the mosaic, versus the pullover, I feel like the ratio of knits to pearls is the same.
Because it's a higher gauge? Like, because you're doing
less stitches? Because like it's an illusion that this one has less purling because you have to purl both sleeves.
But don't you have to purl both sleeves in the other one?
Yes, you should go to purl both sleeves in the other one, but it is the gauge. It is the gauge. It's like, wait.
Because I'm like, math-wise.
Math-wise. Okay, but the other thing, okay, actually, wait. This made sense in my head. You're not wrong. If you can see, it's mosaic knitting, so you're only working with the contrast. You have like one row that's the main color, and then one row that's the contrast color.
Yes.
And so the contrast color in the flowers, like this is stockinette.
You're right.
And then...
You're right.
Oh, maybe show it, like, without giving away the pattern.
Yes.
You knit and purl with the contrast color.
You're right.
Oh, you can see the handspun really nice there.
Yeah. Hold it up. Yes, just like look at this. She made that. Like she made that. Spun it.
I mean, I did spin it, but I think we have to give some credit also to the dyers,
Always.
which I will mention. But anyhow, like I think there's more purling. I was surprised with this cardigan because everyone's like, if you don't like to purl, then knit the cardigan.
Yes.
And if you don't mind purling, then knit the pullover.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't know, like this pattern, I think it would be unfair to say that this is a purl-free pattern.
You're right. It definitely is, and you're right. So in the round, you're actually good. All of these will be pearls.
You're purling every other row.
All I can say, Jackie, is that I loved it doing the body.
Until you got to the
and
sleeves.
I found those sleeves took me
too.
years.
Me too.
Felt like.
I also think that I feel like they're really long.
Yeah, they are. And I made mine very,
and you
very
made yours
long.
like very long.
Yeah.
But I think it was a super fun pattern. The fact that there's color changing yarn, if you're using color changing yarn, whether that's like a variegated yarn or speckled yarn as like the contrast color, just seeing these little flowers bloom is amazing.
And they're all different.
Different.
Every one is different.
No.
And they're different as you go because you're going around so much, right? Like you don't know what that next line is going to be.
Yeah. But I do think that it was a commitment.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I worked on this for like quite a while because it's also on a small gauge, and I did mine like cropped and small. Okay, so for those of you who are spinners who are interested in this, I'll really quickly go over my handspun. So my handspun is a 2-ply, and I use 3 different colorways. We talked about in another episode. I will also do a little timestamp. So I used 3 different colorways. 2 of them were the colorways Clair de Lune and Bamboo Forest, which was from Cara at Myrtle Yarn. And then this segment, I mixed in Polwarth from Megan of Bramble Ridge. And I'm so happy with this fade that came out. I'm so happy with the fade.
Okay, guys.
And I'm supremely shocked at how much it used. Like when I weighed this, I was absolutely blown away because my contrast color, 129 grams of the handspun, and the main color 146 grams of Onska.
Right. So 120. So less than 300.
Less than 300. You know, I'd like to offer like bust sizes because I feel like that's the best way to like know what size.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, if you are measuring the bust size of a cardigan,
how do you
how do I do it? So I have 2 bust sizes for you.
Don't you love her? You know I wouldn't have given you this info.
People are probably like, Jackie, I don't care. But if I overlapped the ribbing as though I were to close it, then it would be like 36 inches in terms of bust size. But honestly, I wear it out like this. And if I were to measure around this way, I would probably add what? Like it would probably be like 42?
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
That would make sense. I wonder too, in this case, if it would be like, you might want to add like the shoulder size. Maybe?
Oh yeah.
Because that might be something that would be more like able to
give you, but then do you do it?
I know, where do you do it from?
What
like
do you
your
do
shoulder
it
points? Or do you do it from, well that would, no, because you can't do your shoulder points because that would be just your shoulder.
Oh, but that would be a smart way to measure the diameter of the back.
Yeah, maybe from the like.
But anyway, if you guys are interested, leave me a comment below and I will make a Ravelry project page for this one. you guys want the stats, I'll do it.
And if you don't even need the stats. You can just cast on right away.
Yeah,
just do
like
that.
Seriously, because that's how this happened.
And we have both experience. So even, you know, we are very similar. Like we used to start with thinking that we were different, but we're just morphing into the same person. So, but we both love this pattern so much, to the point where I'm going to make another cardigan, like, and I want to make the pullover, like. It really is. And I remember when people were making so many when it was the shawl, and I'm like, it's so pretty, but I don't know that I want to make it, you know, like, and then it was like, oh no, now I get it. Like I could make it in everything.
I have I'm like halfway through spinning for the next iteration. Thank you. You're welcome. The next iteration of this, and I actually don't know if I'm going to do the pullover or the cardigan because I loved both. Like I think both of them are beautiful in their own right. And they were both equally enjoyable. The pullover is at a bigger gauge, and so maybe that goes a little bit faster. But honestly, it was kind of fun. I even enjoyed the ribbing. Probably though, I have to say, I only enjoyed the ribbing because of Onska. What a gorgeous colorway it is. And
this is not coming out. I just want to say we're not going to be able to capture it, but like when you look at this, like when I'm right up close to it, it's. Well, we've talked in the past, it's like a watercolor hydrangea is how I describe it. Like it has so many, it's just got so many colors. So I can imagine as you go, you're like, oh, okay.
Like it was like 2 iterations of color changing yarn.
Yeah. And isn't that amazing? So it's both color changing yarn, and yet what's so amazing to me about Nutiden, and if you haven't, like we're acting as if you know what Nutiden is. This is assuming if you've been here at all. If you want to know about Nutiden, you can go to our first like 2 or 3 episodes that are posted, which are like 0.5, 0.75, 1. But that we're going on and on about Nutiden there. But what's so amazing is that it's full of color. So many of the colorways are just full of each, like just bits of color, but they become so homogeneous across, like you don't end up with any kind of like striping or fading. It's this
because it's somehow like heathered and very lightly variegated.
But like it's like at the same time, like how does that happen? It's like almost like the same amount of each.
I don't know.
Gets into every part.
Magic.
It's
magic.
It is magic.
It is magic. Do you want to feel this?
Oh, I do. Oh. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Bolero time. Try not to grab, I'm sorry.
My unwoven ends have snagged something.
Yep, my finger.
Your finger.
It's grabbing me. It's saying you're not going.
Carmen.
Oh, okay, sorry, Pete. I know you're so comfortable there. Why don't you go over here? Oh, sorry, beep. Okay, there we go. Lily has to come over. What's going on? Okay, it's not quite bolero.
It's not a bolero.
Oh.
I think it's. Okay, see, I look at that, and how it fits on you, and I'm like, I need to do one in black and white.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine?
That would be so good.
Like a dressy version.
This is the wrong thing to wear because it's bulking up here, like underneath it, but
like a deeply saturated, like
yes,
like a dressy kind of version, so that it's like a little jacket.
As always, I need Jackie's exact creation because I always love. Would be unlikely to do these measurements because I'll think to myself it should be less. Guys, that it should be less, but it's when I wear it, I love it. Oh, beautiful. But I have to take it off.
Yeah, it's hot.
I'm dying. How did you wear it that long?
You have an air conditioning vent somewhere here that I keep putting my feet
this
towards.
is when yes. Your feet get so cold.
My feet get cold, but it's excellent. You know when you're like hot at the beach and you're like, I'm just gonna wet my feet and then it makes it better. So yeah.
I'm hot.
Puppies.
Okay.
All right. So that's number 1.
Gorgeous.
Yay.
Gorgeous. So, okay. Guys, what the heck? Come here.
Come here, puppies.
Should I talk about, so there's a reason I'm going to talk about this, but the reason I'm wearing this is because another thing I wanted to wear, I'll tell you the story why I'm not wearing it. I'm gonna have to just show it to you. But I was like, well, I'm gonna wear some kind of a knit. So I'm just gonna say, I feel, if you want, 10 bonus points, or you can test if you're like, I've been a knitter around here for the past like 5 years. What pattern is this? What is this pattern? Yes, it is the Ranunculus that everybody has knit. This one I did in Quince & Co. something.
Kestrel?
Kestrel, yeah. Which is a... Guys, I honestly... Justin, you can't come in and out. Okay? I'm podcasting. That's just Justin. Pizza, you know him. Anyway, so that is a 100% linen, Aran weight, chainette? Chainette, is that what they call? Like, I don't know if you can see. Anyway, it's oh my God. Guys, be quiet.
We jinxed ourselves.
So my kids are talking. And do you know the dog that can't stand it? Not the one that doesn't live here. That's going, who's here? What's happening? No, the dog who does live here and knows these voices.
He has a lot to say today.
He's really intense right now.
He's really intense.
Who knows? Poor little guy. Anyway, so
It's a called Kestrel.
it's, yes.
Chainette.
Aran weight, fast. So fast.
So drapey.
drapey. Now, I always try to so it's linen, so you can put it into, I'm gonna yell, I can put it into the dryer, right? And so then it comes and is nice and tighter.
You dried it.
Oh yeah, this is you throw this into the dryer.
Oh.
Yeah, it's awesome. You know what?
Girl
Why
who
don't you
has
get to it?
Girl who has never knit with linen ever before.
Well, okay.
Welcome to your short peace and quiet because the dogs have been let out. Now you're back.
Hello. Hello. Oh. All right. yes. So linen. Yeah, I want to talk.
You're in the dryer.
Yeah, so
in the dryer.
Okay, so I put it in the dryer and it fits enough, and then within 20 minutes it just starts to stretch. So the weight of this, after it, well, I don't know if I can take it off. I'm not knowing what I'm wearing underneath this very well. Like maybe it's not the best thing to take off, but it's very, very heavy. So in comparison to Jackie's, it's very heavy. And so it falls, and then linen kind of just keeps stretching out, and it just becomes super drapey. But I will say in this pattern, I love that, right?
I love that.
It's just such a nice summery kind of thing to wear.
I also love how it looks with the tank underneath, actually.
Oh yeah, which a lot of times you don't like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that one just works, maybe because you're wearing black shorts and a black tank, and so it just kind of works.
Kind of fits.
And I don't know if you intentionally did when I got here, you were wearing it a little bit off shoulder, and I love that look.
Oh,
also.
okay, because I've been trying the whole time to keep it, because this is what happens,
I love
over
that.
and over.
I love that asymmetrical sort of thing.
There you go. See how complicated we are? You don't want the asymmetrical and you're like Cardi, but you want it in the one that's not supposed to be. Anyway, I need to give credit where credit's due. This was a complete twinning, what's it called when we're inspired?
Sponge
knitting. Sponge knitting. It was a complete sponge
Sponge
knitting project. After Caitlin from Caddy Jacks did this exact, not this color, I think hers was maybe a purple, but she did this exact.
I missed this one.
This is 4 years ago, probably. It's probably 2019 she did this. And I remembered looking at it and being like, that's just the most beautiful sweater, and I love the way it draped on her. And so I went and I was like, I've got to make my own.
Caitlin is one of those people who wears a boat neck so well.
That's true.
Whenever she puts on something, and I like a drapey open neckline, but every time I see something on her that's a drapey open neckline, I'm like, why am I knitting all these mock necks? What am I doing with my life?
It looks so good on her. But again, I don't know, I don't like when things are
how it feels or how it looks?
How it feels.
How it feels. Yeah.
I just sometimes I'm and then I'm kind of
just feels like it's all over the place
and stuff. But the actual It's like I wouldn't change anything though because the
It's so
actual
beautiful.
drapiness of it.
It's like, it's the perfect effortless, like it just does effortlessly.
Yeah. That was very profound and very true. Yes, it does. And the knitting of it is super, super fast. Like, I mean, there is a reason. I don't think, sometimes it's like a little game that I play that every once in a while I go on Ravelry and I want to look at the like favorites thing. Like, like the most popular patterns.
Okay, like the hot
one.
Like,
yeah, hot right now.
hot
That's
right
it.
now.
Hot right now.
Yeah.
There has never, ever, ever once been a time that Ranunculus isn't like in the top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
Mostly top 5 for years. It's been years. It's like 5, 6, 7 years old. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But there's a reason. It's really, really enjoyable to knit it. If you haven't yet, you really should. Like, it's
Did
just
you do the
pretty.
raglan shaping here? Is there a
Yes.
raglan? Yeah, there is.
Yes,
I
there
think
is.
that's, so this is in my opinion, this is the genius of the Ranunculus, is that it's a round yoke
Yes.
with a little raglan.
Just this little one,
Just
right?
this little itsy bitsy raglan. I've knit one. I don't dislike mine, but I'm not like over the moon about it.
Yes.
And I think I need to give it another try.
Yeah. Do you want to try this one on? I just have to make sure my...
that it's PG-13. If you let me try it on.
Okay, is that all right? Okay. I'm like, you never know how these like... There we go. Okay, it's all right.
You want to try this?
Oh, no.
No, it's too hot.
I was thinking, I'm like, oh god, no, I'll
it's
just
so
be hot. I mean, it may be huge on you. Oh, but it's only one size. So this was the old...
The old pattern.
Is that? Yeah, no, that's right. I didn't know if it was
I
backward.
don't know. Gosh, it just works.
Look at how beautiful.
It just works.
So this is the old pattern. I think they might have 2 sizes now. I'm not
Do it,
sure.
A little shorter on me.
Yeah. But look how beautiful.
Oh!
Abby, you
Maybe
gotta
I need
go
one.
downstairs. What's happening? Please. No, you gotta go downstairs. Ask Dad. There's stuff downstairs. Go downstairs. Love
I
you.
love this.
Yeah.
I love this.
It is really nice. I feel like this yarn, I guess, because it's not wool, this yarn, Frisco, works really well with this pattern. But as I say, it just stretches. It just stretches.
Have
By
you
the end
ever
of the
done
day-
I imagine it's like
comparison?
8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 8 p.m.
I really should. But it is, yeah. Okay. It's so still in there. What I want to say about knitting with linen is that I do not enjoy it.
Okay, I think this is the part 2 of everybody who knits the Ranunculus, and the reason why I haven't cast it on.
Because of the linen?
Because people talk about the linen and how the linen is a challenge and how we
It's-
don't like the linen
I don't
and
like
blah,
the
blah,
linen.
blah.
Okay, so these are 2 things I don't, if you can hear me, Pizza, I really need you to come here. I need you to come here.
I think he needs to be like a permanent lapdog.
I know, it's just making me very hot. I will get to this point. This is the longest I think I could ever take to say these words, and I hope they're profound enough that they're worth waiting this long. I think it's this way. Yeah.
We don't like
Okay,
linen.
it doesn't stretch. So when you are knitting, I think I don't realize how nice it is to have a bit of bounce
Elasticity.
when you're you're like wrapping, when you're doing your knits. There's just this feels more like
you're fighting.
You're fighting a
the
bit.
yarn. Yeah.
And then the second piece is the joins. The joins
Oh,
suck. Like really
How many
suck.
skeins do you think you used?
It comes in like,
Because I think I remember
50
like little
grams?
skeins.
Yeah, they're little. And it's 50 grams, which is not very long for Erin, right?
Right.
So I feel like maybe 7. Right? And they don't join, so they just stick out.
Not like
so,
Nutiden, where I'm
no,
just
like there is, I know the back of this because I've even left this. I have to like weave it back in. But do you see there's like a little,
yeah,
Yeah.
a little tail.
because that just like popping out, and
Right.
that was an easier join.
Right, I think I can see some of the joins
Oh yeah,
now.
there's a bunch of places.
Why do we do this as knitters? We're like, look at this beautiful top, and let me show you all the
Yeah.
things I don't like about it.
Well,
It's the real talk, though.
It's the real talk.
about
And
it.
I think at this time I think it was like a Russian joiner. No, I had to thread the chain. It was like a specific join for the chainette, and I had to thread it through itself. So it's really
Look at the
pretty.
finished product.
It doesn't take long to knit, but it's a pain. But it's really pretty. And I've made more ranunculi later, but this is my favorite.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that blue on you is, I love this blue. And okay, so again, this is like one of those things that the camera can't really capture. This linen is shiny.
It is. Yes, it is.
It's like shiny and matte at the same time. Yeah. And I just want to keep looking at it. Particularly the texture stitch actually looks super duper really good in linen. So
I agree. Because it really, it stands out. So when you make this with wool, so it's easier to have the joins, but what doesn't happen is that like this kind of gets smaller,
mine.
right?
Mine is, I knit my Ranunculus in Nutiden Yarn in a dark colorway.
Yeah.
And
you won't be able to see it.
I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, and I still think it's beautiful, but there was something about the fit of the one that I knit that I like, but I'm not like gaga over in the way that everybody else is gaga over. And I'm starting to think like maybe this pattern, although I'm like, do we need to talk about the Ranunculus pattern? No, like, go look it up. It works for like every gauge and like everything.
It goes from lace weight.
Midori Hirose, Knit Cafe, Midori on Ravelry. We'll link it below. But like, it like works for every gauge. Like it's a big gauge knit, but there's ways to like adjust it on the basis of like what gauge you want. People have knit it in like 2 strands of mohair. They've knitted in like a more rustic wool, one hand of mohair, like everything.
It takes less than a skein of fingering weight. Like, so if you have 1 skein, I made a ranunculus because it was a sock. I was part of a sock club.
Yeah.
So I got like the 1 skein as a sock, and I was sick of making socks. So I made a ranunculus. And I actually extended it really long because I was like,
sleeve, right?
I did do the
short sleeve.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you could get down probably, I would imagine, to like a 3/4 from 1 skein. Like, how does that happen?
Just like, so what I was gonna say is that I do think that like the linen version for me is my favorite version of the ones that I have seen.
Me too.
So if there's a pattern that's gonna inspire me to leave Nutiden and leave handspun and leave rustic yarns, I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost like just getting through it, and then it's good.
You're better at that than I am.
Yeah,
I feel like I just am so, at this point in my life, staunchly firm that knitting must be enjoyable.
Right.
Did Lily just break into the dog?
I think she did.
She just did.
It is definitely a bonus when knitting is nice. And I can't do too many projects that I am not enjoying the knit, but I do persevere. Well, as we will see.
I admire those of you who are like product knitters. Product knitters?
Yeah. Right.
Product
knitters.
knitters.
You're very processed, right?
Yes.
You like the feel of it.
I think I need to like it. I think I need to like the experience a little bit. Like if it's a slog, it just doesn't happen for me.
Well, my stria is still languishing, so I'm not a full out, Anyway, are we gonna show this?
Speaking of a slog.
Okay, people. She's complete.
I feel like you need to like dangle her. She's so
she's all like
slinky.
She is slinky. Okay, so just to remind you, this is the knit that I was with my husband in Denmark, in Copenhagen, and this was the day he's like, honey, let's go for like a knit crawl and let's just go walk to all the knit stores. And I'm like, yes, let's do that. So we went to Knitting for Olive, and they had a bunch of samples there, and I saw this, and I saw it and he saw it, and when he saw it, he was like, yes, knit this. Now when I was holding it up, and actually it looks exactly the same as I was holding up, so I don't know what I was thinking, but I thought it would be this very drapey kind of camisole, like not fitted.
Like this?
Yeah, maybe not quite, but almost.
Yeah.
And when he was like, yes, you need to knit that. And then everybody who saw you, when you saw it, when our friend Melly like saw the picture, you were all like, oh, that's going to be like
Form-fitted.
Form-fitted.
It's gonna celebrate parts of your body.
It is.
Very
and it
celebratory.
does. And you are correct. Once I started knitting the pattern, I actually was like, when I looked at the actual specs, it's like negative E's. So I'm like, oh.
Do you think
Well,
you
that
could
tells me.
knit it with a lot of positive E's?
Totally. But you won't want to, because
Right,
that's
because
so
it's-
much more
oh, look
knitting,
how
and you will hate
beautiful.
knitting this. You will detest well if you're anything like me. So it is as you can see, it's all ribbed.
Oh my
One by
gosh.
But it's not, it's one round regular 1x1, one round twisted rib, half twisted rib. So you're just twisting on one side. On twos, like US twos, so 2.75 millimeters with silk. This is silk, Borat silk. So it also doesn't like stretch.
There is no stretch on that.
It's
I have
not
half a tank
super
top that I'm
enjoyable.
like, I can't.
And the silk splits very easily, so you're like, it's not even something that you could like not really pay attention to. Like you have to like, because your needle can get like
to look
in
at it.
between. This is not me saying, yay, this was so much fun. Okay? But now that it's done, now I will take pictures. I will put this on. I finished this about a week ago. About 3 days ago, I was like, oh, you need to block it, like for the podcast. So I put it in some water. Yesterday, I took it out of the water. Yesterday afternoon. But
How
it
long
was-
do you block your knits for?
Oh, I was not meaning.
48 hours.
At least.
It's a 48-hour marinade.
I'm not even kidding. Honestly, I don't even know.
I love you so much.
Oh, God. And then I'm like, okay, well, it'll be fine. It was super, super hot yesterday. So I put it outside and I'm like, it's great. I go maybe around 8 o'clock, I checked it and it was almost dry. And I'm like, oh, perfect. It's going to be good. See? The universe works out. It's going to be good. You don't have to be prepared. It's all yay. But I'm like, well, I'll just leave it a little longer and I'll just get it before I go to bed. Who wants to guess? Did that happen? Did I think about it? No.
Not at that time.
Not at that time. What time did I think about it? 4:30 a.m. when I woke up and I was like, oh, knitting podcast, you know, and then it's like, oh, damn it. And then I'm like, oh, so I actually get up. I got out of bed
At
4:30 in the morning,
is
knowing
what
that
we do
this
for
is gonna,
you.
I know, knowing it's gonna be so hard to get back to sleep after, but I'm like, maybe I'm gonna catch it before the dew, like maybe. And I get outside and it's soaked, soaking wet. So I brought it inside. I was hoping it would be dry enough.
You know, I'm pretty, so, I mean, I've been here for what, like an hour?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually pretty surped with how much it has dried.
Yeah.
Like,
You
I'm
think
like,
by
if
the
we
end
go
of our
for 3
podcast?
hours, you might be able to try it on.
I mean, I guess I could put it, but it's just gonna,
You know, I don't
just
want you to
gotta
put it
do
on
it.
damp. It just is like, but like, I wish that I could create a wind. You know, like we need like a Beyonce fan here, so that you can experience like how slinky and delightful this silk is. So is this the first time that you've knit with silk?
Let me just quickly, I'm pretty sure it is. Pretty
Because
sure just silk on its own.
Just silk on its own, like 100% silk. Because here's the thing, I have some of this Knitting for Olive pure silk in my stash because from what I've heard, it's like the best silk to knit with if you want to knit with silk.
That makes sense.
Right, so I'm
Yes.
curious. I was wondering if that was your experience because you know we've bagged on this delightful, like this delightful top, and the experience of knitting this delightful top. Although I will remind you all that Carmen enjoyed it from here till here.
Yeah, I did.
Did you enjoy
I was
it when you split?
enthusiastic.
When you split and you did these like, oh, okay. Also, look at these straps.
I know.
Like Carmen,
cord. It is
Carmen,
cute.
you're amazing.
No,
Like,
it's an
you're
I-cord.
knitting it- I don't. It doesn't
take
it's so
anything.
beautiful.
I
Look at
hate,
this.
so I hate doing that. Okay, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna lose my mind on my dogs. Guys, come here, come here, come here. Go outside. Where's pizza even? Go outside. You guys
Did I
stop.
see him under the couch? Does he hang out?
Oh,
I feel like I saw him like explode out from under.
He explodes under. Like this couch has about this much room. You've seen how big he is, and he will full tilt run under it. Like I don't know how he doesn't crash right into it.
Hiding under it.
Oh, he was hiding, yeah. But he won't. Yeah.
I just, if I could will this to dry.
I know.
It's so like.
It is really.
This
pretty.
is the top. This is the kind of top that if I were in a ready-to-wear store, and it were hanging somewhere, like much like you did.
That's exactly what I did. Yeah, I was like, I need this. To the point where I didn't even look at what it was. I was like, I don't care what the actual construction is. And then when I got it, I looked at the construction. I'm like, oh god.
So did you knit it exactly to pattern?
I think I extended. I think it's a little longer.
And when did you try it on, Carmen?
Right here. Well, maybe I tried it on here. I think I added maybe a little bit.
Okay.
Oh no, right here, I think is wherever I had to start these things. I tried it on.
The darts.
So I risked this much of painful knitting because I just couldn't put it on a little thing and try it on. I just didn't want to. But like it fits. It fits.
So
It's got lots of, like it's got a lot of stretch.
So beautiful. And like, look at your ribbing.
Yeah,
Carmen.
it's not perfect. I
Look
will
at
tell
your
you. There's
ribbing.
places. Oh, I did have to mod. Okay. Yay, car! Not really, because it was because of a mistake. But I didn't look at I do not read patterns. You know how, like, in almost every pattern it says, read through this pattern.
At the beginning?
At the beginning.
Please
like,
read through the whole pattern. No.
The designers go out of their way to tell you to read through the pattern so that you know what you're doing. And I'm like, no.
Delayed gratification is not our strong suit.
So for some reason, my beginning of the round, I just assumed that it would be either in the back or maybe a side.
Uh-huh.
Like, so you're just making a tube. I just
Yeah.
assumed the beginning
So
of the
that
round
is
would
a
be something like that. So when there would be problems, I was like, whatever. Like for joining and different things, I made a mistake and I lost some like stitches and things weren't perfect. I was like, whatever. It's just like the end. It's gonna be in the back. I don't care. I don't care. No, guess where the beginning of the round is?
The front?
Right at the front.
No way.
Right. Smack dab at the front.
Well, you could never tell.
I know because I had to move it.
Oh. I was like, my beginning of round does not look like that.
All of this mess, I don't know if you can see it. When I wear it, it would be more obvious. I think maybe in here, see? That would be straight
Are
in
you guys
the
like
front.
me? Are you guys like dry tank tops?
I know. I will take pictures. Just shake it. Oh my God. But because of the twisted rib one way and non-twisted rib the other,
Yeah.
like each round, I was like, wait a second, how do I move this and have it not be on, at some point, it's going to be a double.
Oh.
Because I have to keep it the same to do these things. Like, so when you're doing the shaping, you have to do the shaping on one round.
Particular.
So I was like, what do I do? And I actually was like, do I have to pull this thing back all the way?
No.
I considered it for a moment. I said, no.
You can figure this out.
So I did. I ended up
skills.
like going back or something. I moved the round.
You move the beginning around.
I think I moved, I made the decision to move it because there's half of it is going to be my decision would be 2 twisted ribs like on top of each other, or 2 untwisted ribs, regular rib. And I chose to do the twisted ribs because I was like, I think those are easier, like less easy to see. Whereas like, I think I have a place in here where I had accidentally done 2
regular ribs,
and you can see that better. So that,
I mean,
ended
I'm
up being fine.
like basically with a microscope trying to find this thing. Isn't that so funny though? Like as knitters, I'm guilty of this, is that like, it takes me a while. If I've like knit a project and there was some part of the project that like didn't work out, it like takes a while for me to not immediately see that thing the moment that I like put like when it, for the first like week of the knit, I'm just like really aware of that thing.
Yes.
But then like, what's that saying? There's that saying that knitters say, that's something about like, can you see it if you were riding on a horse or something like that? Like, I don't know what it is, but like,
nobody's looking at it.
Nobody's looking at it. Like I
don't think about them actually very, like there are places where like it's just not the right rib, like I went a little bit
Yeah.
off, but I don't even care.
No,
I just
who cares?
don't. But I did end up knitting, I think this like, it's hard in an I-cord, I always find with the I-cord straps, whenever you have to do it, like measuring that, like do you stretch it? And if you do, you stretch it like how much?
Right,
and so you can see
Oh,
how
the
far
strap is so lovely.
down I went. So I had made it this long and I'm like,
when
oh,
you
it's way
seamed it.
too long. So I had to keep taking this out and
Did it also grow a ton? Because you know what, like as much as, if you guys have been here for a while, this top has been a bit of a saga, right? Like, and like every time we'd come back, there's like a little bit more done, and Carmen had not tried it on. But one of the things that we were saying is like, is it worth trying it on unblocked?
right.
Because like for example, if you tried the linen on,
I did, and it was a lot tighter.
yeah,
it fit
and
way
then it
differently.
blocked, and then you blocked it, and it was like a totally different thing. Particularly for something like this, it's like, is it worth blocking?
Yes.
I mean, if you're one of those like wonderful, responsible swatching humans, then you're
Right.
like, what? None of these are problems.
No, but it is because you don't have to wait anyway.
Yeah.
So like, unless you want to do a swatch that's the actual product, and that's
Or like
your swatch.
the big swatches that like actual legit designers do, where they like swatch like 6 inches by 10 inches, and I'm like,
I
that's
think even then.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the straps, if it's in this case, if it's not
Right.
hanging, you're not gonna get
right.
the thing anyway. So really, I was just very smart,
Yeah.
very efficient. Like
You made the choice that was right for you.
I did.
And that's all. That's the best we can do.
It is. It is.
The best we can
And
do.
I'm happy. I'm
And
happy
it
with
worked out.
And I would like to answer your question. Unfortunately,
yes.
I can't because I have not tried it on blocked. So I have no idea. This thing might be down to my belly button.
Wait, you haven't tried it on? Right, because you just blocked it last night.
I wish
And so
I'd done these things
the
earlier,
drop.
but no.
Well, now it's just a dewy,
Seriously.
it's a dewy tank top.
Okay, only you're coming in. Only you're coming in.
Seriously, you guys are just, I'm just gonna be doing this for the rest of the podcast whenever Carmen's talking. I hope this isn't distracting. I just wanted to try so badly. Please try.
Dry.
Is this more or less distracting than the puppies barking, guys?
Or I could put it. Once the sun comes up,
we
put it
could
outside.
totally put it outside.
See, it just takes us a while.
No,
But then I have
no,
to.
you don't think this is
Okay,
a better
I'm gonna
plan?
put it outside when I have to let these dogs in. I do enjoy that actually. Although I'm sure somebody's gonna comment and be like, "I was getting nauseous.
Please
Could
stop.
you please stop?" Like,
I'll
no,
stop.
no.
I don't have the persistence to do that. It's so beautiful.
It is very beautiful. I'm actually glad to be able to show it. Funny enough, maybe this is see. Okay, it did work out because if on the off chance that this does not fit in a way I like it, I'm showing it to you in the way this is exactly what it
This
looked
is your
like.
experience. You've successfully shared your thing for Olive.
Oh,
my
yes,
God.
and this is what I saw when I was in the store. Like it looked just like this, and I was like, I want this. Oh, and can I just point out like this sexiness, right? Like
The
look at this,
seam.
like the seam that you do.
That's what I'm saying, like when
It's
you
so
when you
beautiful.
showed me the pattern, I'm like, why isn't everybody knitting this pattern? It's so beautiful, because it's 1 by 1
I
rib
can tell you
on
now.
a US 2. But like, oh my god,
It is beautiful.
it's so beautiful.
It is. It's amazing.
I wish you could feel this, guys. Even damp, it's so
It is
lush.
nice.
All right, stay tuned. maybe you'll see it on this episode.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe next episode.
Another
knows?
cliffhanger. You just gotta wait to the end. All right. What about you, Jack? What's your next thing?
Oh my god. I want to talk about the FleurALong.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You did another one already? Of course you did.
So,
My God.
for those of you who are new here, Carmen and I are running a knit along called the FleurALong, in which you're invited to join us in knitting the Fleur shawl, which is a free pattern that you can find on Espace Tricot. It was designed by Melissa Clulo. And so here's the story of the Fleurs. This is Carmen's gorgeous, glorious, amazing
This one.
Fleur.
This one came on my trip with me. Like that's the kind of thing, you know, like it's like that
So
level.
glorious.
This is it.
Which is knit in low mileage wool from Brittany from Cruxfibery, held with Sonder Yarn Co.'s
Sweet
mohair
pea.
and sweet pea, which I still need.
Yes, you did.
I still need to knit. Then I have a handspun version.
Yes. So beautiful.
And I couldn't stop knitting it. But can you guess what I knitted in?
Nutiden. I don't even have to look. I mean, how could you not have what a Nutiden? Oh, yes. In the Jackie color, too. This is the classic Jackie color, the bluey light dove gray, I think. Beautiful. Beautiful.
So this is Fleur number 2.
Oh, my God.
No, Fleur number 3. 2.
For you and 3 for us, I guess?
3 for me. 4 for us. I was gonna try and space them out, but no, I guess I'm gonna show. I just felt like
No, you gotta show them all.
So-
Oh my God. This is gorgeous. And, okay, so, well, you're about to talk. Did
No,
you
what
make
do you
it
know
different
this?
sizes? Like, because, oh, yes, and, wait, you
what?
what? Wait, you turned this into a crescent.
Yeah. So, with the blessing of Melissa,
Oh my God.
I turned her Fleur shawl into a crescent
Oh my God, Jackie.
because
Oh, it's so
this is my favorite shawl shape, and I just thought
Yes,
we can make this happen.
yes.
And you know what's really interesting? One of the things that I love most about yours, where I'm about to get like really specific about, this has gotten better over time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the texture of this
yes, it
has
has.
gotten better over time.
It's amazing.
When you first put yours on, what I loved was like this line, how it was really drapey and really romantic. I know I'm not the only person who was just like, right? It's gotten drapier.
Yeah. I think smell. I don't know if it's
I
stretched, but
feel
yeah, it
like
feels,
the texture is different.
it's
So there was this
very-
like
yeah.
long drape, which I loved. And then I knit mine out of handspun, and I love this shawl. Like this is the shawl that goes with me everywhere. But mine, you can see, doesn't it like wings out?
I see. Yes, it
And-
has more of a structure to it that, yes.
And I feel like every symmetrical triangular shawl that I have ever knit wings out like this,
Oh.
which I don't mind because I wear most of my shawls like this anyhow.
Yeah.
But I really wanted that. I wanted that like drape, right?
Beautiful.
And I love this, and I'm really aware that I wanted it to not have this little triangle.
So you just did it. You made it
turned
happen.
it into a crescent.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's, you know what's so perfect about it that I didn't notice? It's like I didn't notice. Something was different, but I didn't know what. And it still looked perfect. So that just tells you like, meant to be.
I feel like I got the drape that I wanted
Yeah, you did.
because it's Nutiden
And
and it's not winging.
Look at it. It's this, you're right.
And
It's the
for
same.
me, it's the right length
Yeah, it is.
because I'm, you know, what's like how many extra inches do you have?
Yeah.
And it just works out for me. Like I love how it hits right here.
Yep.
I love that curve.
Do you know what also? I remember what I loved the most about mine is that it hit me at my elbow. And it didn't hit you, mine didn't hit you at the elbow.
Yours like,
But
yeah.
now it's right, that's how that look, that's how that angle gets.
So I'm so delighted.
Oh.
And so this is, I mean, this is one of those, I think a lot of my knits are knits where I really am knitting more for me than for the outside eye. In the sense that like, of course I want things to be beautiful. But I'm really knitting for myself and for
How
it
you'll
to,
wear it,
how I'll wear
what
it
it'll
and
be.
what it'll be and how it will be. So I don't think I learned something about painting with mohair because this is Nutiden held with a fluff. And I don't know that you would ever be able to tell,
No.
but there actually is a gradient. So I started with like a white, I started with sort of like white, like very light dove gray mohair. And then I started to fade in actually like an icy blue. So you saying this is a classic Jackie color, it was actually it was actually the colorway Skier in Nutiden, which was like a very classic gray.
Yes.
And
But
I
a very
painted
light
it
gray.
very light gray. And what I
Oh.
wanted was it to just be a little icy.
It is icy.
And the like
it's 100%
concept for me was that I wanted it to be like a wave.
Oh.
You know how a wave, like, there's like when a wave comes and like reaches the
Yes,
shore, there's that like white foamy thing, and then there's like the blue of the ocean, and so that's what I was thinking here.
Wow.
And what I wanted was the idea of like being enveloped by that like water, so like it's cresting up here, like here's the like ocean, and then it's getting like less and less, and then it kind of comes up here. So concept wise, it didn't come out as striking in terms of the gradient as I thought that it was going to.
Yeah.
But
it's amazing. It's perfect, and
I
it's
just
so
love
you.
it.
And there is, now that you say it, I can see the different
it's like subtle.
colors. Yeah, like, but I didn't. So again, it's like a wash, but there is movement within.
And I think I sometimes think it's those like subtle details that you don't. That aren't obvious that can sometimes just add a little like extra to the piece, because it's almost like I think the eye registers that there's something a little bit interesting about it, but you don't know what it is. Like, you know how our faces are asymmetrical?
Yes.
And that's how it's meant to be. And if you actually see a face that's perfectly symmetrical, it looks
a little strange.
Not right.
Right.
So I kind of think like those little imperfections in our hand knits, or those little like little tweaks that we make, are often the ones that I find like really beautiful. These like subtle things, but
it's so beautiful.
I am so happy with it. I mean, it's hard to beat for me, like my happiest knit, you know, garter and baubles and Nutiden, and for the fluff, I wanted it to just be like soft and luxurious in the way that yours was soft and luxurious. So I actually used Shibui knit silk cloud. Shibui.
I can't believe that's now
Shibui
discontinued.
knits silk cloud, and then I used some Julie Asselin Anatolia, which has the same composition. It's
40 to 60, yeah.
60% mohair, 40% silk, and there's something about that feels like amazing. And then I ran out, so when I got down here, what I ended up using was Sonder Yarn Co. Mohair. And again, like I sort of did with the dip dyed Weekender, I held, in order to sort of create the gradient, I actually increased the number of strands that I held. So sometimes I started off holding one strand, and then I would double to try and deepen the color. But it's kind of amazing to me, like if you look down here, it's 2 strands of mohair and Nutiden. Interestingly, the 2 strands of mohair that I held was 1 turquoise and 1 purple, because I ran out of blue. And you would never know. Like I know. I held together the colorway Glass and Musée from Sonder Yarn.
Oh my god, yeah.
And this is what I got. So I'm like, it's so interesting to me, because when you held Sweet Pea, it changed your color so significantly. But what I realize is you were holding 1 strand of mohair with 1 strand of fingering. So like the mohair created more of a color change.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Whereas I held this with Nutiden single-stranded, but Nutiden single-strand, I mean, who knows what it qualifies as, but I would say like,
God, it could be anything.
I don't know, it could be anything, but like it's definitely thicker than a sport weight.
For sure.
Right? This particular blend of skier.
Yes.
So you can't even see that to the naked eye, but I know it's there and it makes me happy.
You know, that reminds me of Hille from Knitting.
That's exactly why I did it.
Danish Musings, right? So she's doing another knit cafe Midori. Beautiful.
Snowy
Check
Forest.
I don't think it's.
No, not Snowy Forest.
It's another,
Snow Crocus.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just cable like
gorgeousness.
But the thing is, when you first look at it, and when she first liked it, it actually looks almost kind of this color.
Yeah.
Like a blue. And then she went to buy the yarn that it asked, like, you want to make this one? Here's the yarn. It's purple and like green, like minty green, bright mint green, that combine and make this blue. It's so amazing.
Yeah. So I like was away and ran out of yarn while I was away, which was just like, whoa, why? So I like got to here with this is where I finished my mohair, and I was like, I need more. What am I gonna do? And I come home and it's a stat holiday. I'm like, I can't get anything, and I want to have it for the podcast. So like, what am I gonna do?
This is yesterday?
This is Sunday night.
You finished that?
I was frantic because I wanted it to be done because I wanted to show you guys. So I had like, you know, no other option. I couldn't go. I had shockingly had no other blue mohair, and I was like, you know, turquoise and purple make blue. Now it's worth saying that like both Musée and Glass, they're like very, very muted. They're super muted.
They are, but I
like,
cannot see it. I
know.
cannot. You think I should be able to see something.
I wasn't like marking, like I wasn't noting when I switched it to mohair. Like when because I don't even want to say that I wrote up a pattern. I didn't write up a pattern. I tracked what I did in order to make it a crescent. In case if anybody would like to leave, if you guys would like me to share this, I will write it up for you if you would like me to.
It would shock me if not one person was like, yes,
I feel like the original is perfect.
It is
and
perfect.
I just really love a crescent.
But you just made the perfect into another way of being perfect. Like it still is Melissa's design. Like it's everything that she's done with all her genius, but you've changed it.
I've changed the increases to make it a
Good for
crescent.
you.
Thank you.
Like honestly, I wouldn't even have that like guts to do.
Well, so I have to credit two things. One is I have to credit the internet because I had the idea of doing it, and then I basically like went on Google, and there are all these like wonderful human beings who talk about, you know, how to make your own crescent shaped shawl, and I learned about like increase ratios and stuff like that. So that was really fun. But what I was gonna say is I was wanting to track when I started it, and I thought, of course I'm gonna be able to see when I added the turquoise and the purple mohair. I don't know, Carmen.
I cannot, Jackie. I'm right beside you. I can't. I can't. This is what is making me go, I don't understand.
I also just don't understand how it still looks gray.
I know.
You know?
I am literally saying that there is not one stitch. There's not one stitch that I can say, okay, that looks purpley.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Like I'm fascinated with like, hey, when you add mohair to something, how does it change the color?
It is amazing. There's always so many cool questions to ask.
So yeah, here's my crescent. Fleur.
That's beautiful.
So for the cowl, basically, if you want to participate, you have until, what did we say, winter solstice? December 21st. We'll count whips. But let me tell you, again, it's like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, this has become the podcast where there's gonna be no new stuff. It's like, I'm just gonna keep knitting fleurs, and I'm just gonna keep knitting pressed flowers. There's gonna be no new patterns, like, from me. I'm just gonna be knitting this over and over again. Yeah, so if you wanted to use the hashtag FleurALong, and at some point we'll figure out prizes and Ravelry and all that kind of stuff. But
for the final, because we are also giving away, as we say today, to make your own.
Yes.
As well. But now you have, now you don't even have to make just the triangle one. You can make the triangle or the crescent.
So I am gonna nerd out. So for those of you who have been here, you know I love a crescent shawl, and you may remember that I knit a crescent shawl out of the 52 weeks of shawls
line of
publication called the, oh no, I don't remember. Anyhow, it was a crescent shawl that I modified the bedoodles out of. Totally different gauge, changed it, and one of the things that happened is that like this first section did a weird pouchy thing. Yeah. And so I was like, I don't want that to happen. And I also have knit a couple of crescent shawls, and when I was doing research about like shawl shaping, one of the things that often happens with a crescent shawl because of the way that the increases happen is you end up with like a little hump.
Yes.
There's no hump, guys.
There's no hump.
There's no hump. Because I found this amazing resource of someone who showed you how to do it's like sort of a modified garter tab cast on. Oh. So that you don't have the hump. And I'm just like so delighted with how it worked out.
It's so good.
So it was like a new technique to me. I'm so grateful to the people who just published it online for free to solve your hump problems. No humps.
No humps. And you know what? So we've talked before, I made a hipster, right? A Hohi Locatelli hipster shawl that's beautiful, although it's painful. I hated it. But
this is pre-podcast life.
Yes. But it has this bump, and I have tried to, I even reblocked it. I was like, maybe I blocked it incorrectly, but it's like, it just bumps. So if I were to do it again, I could actually change that. No, nothing happened. Nothing happened. Nobody's here. Anyway, yeah, check. So if you're gonna do the hipster, also maybe check that out and just make sure to get your things straight.
So I guess I have said enough now that I feel like I probably need to make a Ravelry product page, right?
Yeah. Yes, you do. I'm answering that.
I just don't have yardage because I took it away on vacation. And I don't have yardage, but right? I could, no, because I used all those different mohairs and I wasn't keeping track and I didn't bring like a travel scale with me. Here's what I can tell you. This is 150 grams of Nutiden.
Hold on a second. Are there travel scales? Do people bring travel scales?
I don't know.
Okay. I was like,
I mean,
what?
To be fair, I have a kitchen scale and I have like it's yay biggity.
Yeah, okay.
Because I got one that like does a lot of decimal points because you ever like try and measure your like, oh, how much do I have left, and I put it on my like actual kitchen scale that I use for like baking and it's like 0. I'm like, it's not 0. It's not 0. There's mohair there. Like, I don't know. So I have this like itsy bitsy one and I was like, oh, I could have brought that.
Boy.
But
so sorry, I interrupted.
115 grams of Nutiden held single stranded with I in total used about 600 yards of fluff. Holding some of the fluff like double,
right?
For this particular iteration. But thank you, Melissa, for thank you, Melissa, for such a beautiful pattern. Thank you, Melissa, for being so gracious. And when I messaged her and I was like, would it be terrible if I took your perfect pattern and modified it to be a crescent? And she was like, absolutely, please go ahead and do that. I'm so excited to see how it turns out. And that meant so much to me that she was sort of open to sharing her creative genius with me. She's so gracious
to
and
begin
generous.
with. I mean, her patterns are
a free pattern. So there's the crescent.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah. There you go. There's my Fleur.
I love it. And so, you have another too?
I do have another one.
I feel like maybe that was a good time.
I do have another one.
How did I not see this? Has this been here the whole time?
Yes. No, I don't know. I pulled it out at some point. So this was my first attempt.
I remember
to have a Carmen Fleur.
If you don't like it, Carmen will have it. It is a Carmen Fleur.
I do love it.
Oh.
It is knit in Elfworks. It's a farm yarn from Elfworks. And it was a single fleece Gotland that the wonderful people, they are amazing makers out west. And they predominantly work with leather, but they also have a small, every so often, have some farm yarn. So they have their own flock of sheep. But the story behind this particular skein is that there was a particular Gotland fleece that they found and had like this vision, I really want to combine it with silk. So it's 65% Gotland and 35% silk. And then I held it with a strand of mohair, birthday mohair from Lil Weasel, the Swamp Creatures. And so this is exactly the pattern and was my effort to recreate Carmen's.
I
love this one also.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
But so in actual fact, this was the first one. This was the second one. And after I knit it, I love it. But it's like, I had this like vision of of the Fleur that I wanted, and it like sort of like wrapping in a particular way, and I'm like, this isn't doing it either.
It's not doing it, yes.
And what I realized is like, I like that curve.
You like the crescent.
I like the crescent.
That's why you made it.
And so that's, although I love this one.
Oh, I love it too.
And this also is like, goes with everything.
This color.
The color.
I love it, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So, I mean, Did I say it out loud on the podcast? There will seriously be 5 of these. like.
So if there's 5, maybe you're just gonna be like, I don't know, Car, if I need the extra like triangle one, maybe you can have it. Yes, you
maybe
can.
You can have it. But
it's
this
so
one
pretty. It's
has
so pretty.
the wingspan where I can do this like.
That's one of my favorite ways.
Which is one of your favorite ways to wear it.
It just feels so comfortable.
It does feel so
you know?
comfortable.
And when you do it like that, then it gets out of your way
and also with the triangle, you like kind of don't see the tie.
Yeah.
Like you can tuck it up, and so I took this on a plane. It was like the perfect sort of like
nice
cozy
for you
paint.
too.
Thank you.
It actually reminds me of your hair, so there's this like gold, right, that goes through it, and then like a brown that has more, like
ashy.
Ashy, yes, exactly. Yeah. It's beautiful.
So I mean,
beautiful.
It was somewhat intentional when I put this together. I was like, I feel like this looks good.
It does look good. Yes, it does.
With my skin tone. It feels really nice. Because Gotland plus silk is so luxurious. Here you go. Yay! So all the Fleurs.
Oh my god, all the Fleurs.
I would.
Oh, it feels so nice. Oh yes. Yes.
I'm just gonna take this opportunity to not run away with this, even though every time I see it, I do think I'm gonna run away with it.
Can you see? Oh, yeah, you don't know if you can see. No, you can't. It's much more beautiful.
Is that wrong side? The wrong side out?
What the? Yes. What the? Come on, Car.
I mean, we do it all the time.
Rookie mistake.
Do you feel like these look amazing together?
I do. I was just thinking that. I feel like these colors.
I want a color work that's this.
Oh, and this.
This.
Yes, I do. I also like the blue.
Looks really nice with blue. So that mohair is super. It was super fun. It has like pinks and golds and greens and like all these different colors in it, and I feel like it's color changing. Like
it's so subtle.
But it's like subtle, and it sort of looks different with everything. Again, it's that like secret subtle where it looks like a different color depending on the light, depending on like what I'm wearing underneath it.
Totally.
I love it. It's like for me, it's like the perfect multicolored taupe. Although when I told my husband, want to look at my multicolored shawl, and I pulled it out, and he was like, "What? Like, what do you mean?"
I actually had a moment there when I was like, "Oh, good. What did Elliot?"
No, we didn't name it.
What did he say?
He didn't name it. He was just like,
we
Jackie,
never know what he's gonna say.
He's like, "It's gray." I was like, "No, it's not. It has so many colors in it." I was like, "It is like a swamp creature. It is like
it does have so many colors in it." And again, you have the wash, right, of the like gray. But when you look closer, do you know what? It's pointillism. Like art. That's what it is. So you go tell him that.
Carmen said that it's pointillism. Oh my god. Like, sorry, we will we'll be here for hours just at this shawl. There's something about this shawl that is so magical. Oh, actually, I wanted to. Now that I'm looking at the baubles, I recalled.
Oh yeah, these are smaller, right?
I didn't do baubles. I changed up the baubles as well.
Of course you did.
So I figured out a way to knit these baubles without having to turn it back and forth, or with a crochet hook. No crochet hook. I'd be interested to try this bauble technique with something that isn't Nutiden. But essentially what I did is I did the normal bauble technique, so normally what happens, this is a free pattern, so I can say normally what happens is you sort of like you knit yarn over and knit into one stitch.
Yes.
Right? That's how you sort of like start the bauble, and you either do 3 stitches or you do 5 stitches. Then you like turn it around, and then you like knit back, and then you turn it back, and then you knit over, so you're making kind of like a little stockinette like friend, and then you do the baubles. Well, I was like, well, it's Nutiden, and Nutiden is magic, and I'm just not gonna turn it over.
So you just put it back
so
on the left needle?
I slipped everything back onto the right needle, and then I just did it again. Wait.
From the right to the left. It was an I-cord.
Yeah, I did an I-cord. I did a 3-row I-cord, and then I did the shloopy loopy thing that.
Yes, of course. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
That Melissa does, where you like. So I just didn't turn around. I just slipped it, and like part of the reason that I did this is when I did this shawl, I couldn't get the baubles right. I did exactly the way it was, and every single bauble was like a little bit different.
Yeah.
And no matter how much I tried, I couldn't get them all to look the like happy way that I wanted to. And because I was making wishes on each of the baubles, I'm like, I can't rip it out because I've already made a wish on it. I can't rip it out. And so this is
there goes the environment. Take that away. There goes wildfires. Who cares about that wish?
I couldn't unwish my wishes. So I was like, there's the wonky one. I need to keep going. But it was okay because it's sort of like because it's like darker, you don't see it as much. But when I got to this one, I'm like, you can really see the baubles, and also it's Nutiden, and the baubles are like extra bobbly because of the unspun nature of it. So I was like, gotta get the baubles right. And I was like, what if I just, like, can you tell?
No.
Like,
well, I love this so much because you were asking, I don't know what this would be like in another kind of project. Guess what?
What?
I've got a project where I did exactly that. That's how
Really?
it wrote. That was the actual technique for the baubles. I'm about to show. And I will show you exactly what it looks like.
Yay!
Once we're done.
We're done. We're gonna talk about the
Is there even anything
There's somebody here.
Oh. Oh, yes, there is. All right. Okay, so we're getting, yes, we have to get, oh, right, sorry.
Is that you need to go talk to the person in the backyard? Okay.
That's the person doing the pool. And then there will be another person that has to do another, like, fixer up. Come here, guys. I know. You know what? The funniest thing is, he's
in the
back
backyard,
there.
and they're running at the front.
Yeah. We didn't get our dogs for their, like, high intelligence factor, you know, like, that wasn't the draw. Anyway,
Okay,
Fleurs,
so
Fleurs.
Fleurs, all the Fleurs.
Yeah.
Fleur bees.
Oh, it's amazing. Guys, you're gonna have to come here, please.
Come here.
The funniest thing is I'm gonna call them in here so that they can then see that there's a guy outside.
And then they're gonna bark in this direction.
Yeah.
Lily?
Come here, guys.
Just
you
tell
know
me.
what? We're all okay
Well, good.
with the fact that this man isn't done.
It's hot.
Yeah, I'm actually not even hot. The reason is I think I'm gonna have to pick up the pizza. Come here, guys.
Oh, well, Shawl
And I
pizza
don't
equals
want it to
way,
be-
way too hot.
Oh no, actually I can't because I'm gonna show my other thing.
Okay, tell me about things with baubles.
Okay.
I don't know about this one.
No, you don't.
I'm like, baubles?
And this one has to do, oh, I had two things actually that had to do with my trip. So I was just in Amsterdam, not in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. And that was an amazing trip. I have so much to say about that. I mean, if you're interested in my Instagram, I went on a lot about the bike, like the cycling culture and infrastructure really is what I want to say. Like they have the investment of that country in making it safe to cycle makes it so you want to cycle. Like it's not safe here. You almost kill yourself sometimes. Yes. Like you have to wear helmets. Like, yeah, I met with my friend Hannah, like in Belgium also, and we were like, you're amazing. And we went. So she has like a folding bike, so she has a big cargo bike and a folding bike. So she brought me the folding bike to so we could bike through. And she brought helmets. She's like, in case you need a helmet. I'm like, in Canada we wear helmets. You have to wear helmets. Like you're gonna be like. Like no cars are looking for you. They open their doors, no problem. You smash right in anyway. So that's a whole other thing, but I just want to say that I wish Canada had this. And I know there's like some weather stuff, but we're hotter here, to be honest, than they were over there, you know? And like, I would bike. I want to put that out there. I would bike if I could. Maybe not in the snow.
Is it true? I mean, I was like, it was a very long time ago when I was in the Netherlands, but I also feel like it's really lovely to bike there because it's flat.
It is flat. It's so flat. I mean, we were in the north part and it's like, whoa, like it is so lovely.
It's really pleasant. I'm like, there's no downhills where you're like, oh my God, gears. What gear am I supposed to be in? What am I supposed to do?
Oh my God, downhills. Great. I love the downhills. It's the uphills.
I'm talking about danger. I'm talking about the danger quotient.
So can I just say, I'll just say very quickly, and you can go to the thing, but every single road, like country highway, you know, so like one lane, maybe even 2 lanes each, you know, like 2 by 2 lanes. You guys, I'm sorry, you're not gonna be able to go out. That's the problem. We can't have it go out. Lily? Pizza? Come here. Come here. Pizza, I need you to come here. Come here. Good boy. Frisk Frisco, you're such a little doll. Frisco doesn't even need to be talked to. So, every single road, well, almost, but every main road doesn't just, they don't have bike lanes. Like, it would be one thing if it was bike lanes. There are some roads that have bike lanes. But the majority, I know there's a guy there. I know. I'm aware. I know there is. It's all fine. I don't even know. Guys, I think you might have to go downstairs. Come here. This is it. Good boys and girls. Hey guys, Lily's smart. Come on, guys.
No. It's okay.
Downstairs. Lily, can you go downstairs too? Lily, downstairs. Good girl. Yeah. No, Lily, downstairs. Come here. Lily, you have to go. Good girl. Good girl. Okay, that's it.
Thank you for handling that.
I mean, they're about to bark and everything, but hopefully they can take care of them downstairs.
We've just set the dogs on the rest of Carmen's family.
Yeah, they love it. They'll be happy to have them. So just very quickly.
Bike lanes.
The bike, it's not a lane. It's an entire bike path that exists separate from the road. So you have the road, then you have a median of some sort that often has trees, definitely grass that's quite large. So you are separated. And then you have your 2-lane bike path, at least one, sometimes going down both sides of the road.
Wow.
And they're paved, all of them paved. Not gravel, not anything, not dirt, beautiful concrete pavement. So I was just literally like biking
you were living
in the
your best
country,
life.
like just like smile. Like I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I biked to the beach. It was 20 kilometers to the beach. I biked there and then I biked back. Like, oh God, anyway.
We're so, what it brings up for me is like how blessed we are when we get to have a relationship with the outdoors.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Because I do think that, it's wonderful to live in a city that has all of this infrastructure, and having lived and also gone places that are rural, and at least for me, I idealize like a really rural setting.
Yeah.
Because of its proximity to nature. Like there's actually some challenges with that.
Yeah.
Right. And when you speak about your experience there, I just think about how blessed you were to have this experience of having an environment that allows you to be outside in a way that is like safe and like fun and like easy. And I've really like, with the past year and everything that's going on in the world, like have really had to like pause and take a moment to recognize like, I think nature is so important, and not all of us have access to it.
Yes.
And it isn't necessarily about like going to the most like natural place in the entire world is the only way that you can get nature. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like there are ways that we have the privilege of being able to like be outside and enjoy the outdoors and have that sort of like relationship.
Yes.
And that infrastructure makes that sort of particular way of like being outside and staying active and like being able to like grin at the sun and see the trees and be in the sunshine and get out to the beach. Like what a gift that is.
Oh, like absolutely. And I want to add to that, the other piece of it was this ability to use my body was able to propel this machine fast enough and easy enough for me to be able to get from one place to another.
Yeah, particularly when you're traveling in a place where it might not be easy to access like vehicles or like buses. Like that's what I remember the feeling that I got when you were sharing your experience, or even like looking at you, was just like total freedom. Like it felt like total freedom on like so many levels. And I was like, how amazing to have the support structure to have that experience.
And to be going through these fields and I will also say, so I have one of my tattoo here is a great blue heron, if you can see. One of my favorite birds of all. I saw no less than 12 like, and on these like bike trips.
Oh my god.
Like I just kept, they were just all right beside me. And I would be like, hello. And like, I would know them because there was a few routes I did a few times. And I'm like, oh, hey. Like it would be like a pair of them, which you almost never see. Like two, they're so like solitary, but like, yeah, there was the female and the male. Anyway, it was just like, I love this. I'm so happy here. I'm so happy here.
Yeah.
And being, like just being in nature, using my body to propel this, like to move, to get somewhere that doesn't require anything that's going to burn my planet up.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Just amazing.
I wish. There's lots.
There's lots. And I think, you know, this year there's been so much that's happening in the world this year that's like made me reconsider like how, like what kind of relationship am I gonna have with nature, or like where can I have a relationship with nature that's like local to me.
Yes. Yeah. That doesn't take using a fossil fuel to get to. Like, you know, like going to a provincial park, wonderful, but you have to actually drive there to get there.
Yeah.
Because we can't get places where we live. There's so much sprawl, right? Like it's...
Yeah. We're pretty lucky in Burlington, I would say.
We are
fairly lucky.
Still a lot. It's just very large. And
you know,
I would like to bike places.
Yeah.
I used to have, again, we'll get back to knitting, I promise. But when my kids were younger, I actually had a cargo bike. So I had one of the like Dutch bikes where I'm here and then there's this large compartment and the two kids would sit and have like, you know, seatbelts. And I would bike and it's massive.
Where were you living?
Here. Burlington.
What?
I biked through Burlington. People would laugh. I would be biking along and they would literally start laughing. And I'm like, I was the person that had the big bike. And then there was somebody else. Somebody was like, oh my God, Carmen, like I saw another girl, like she was biking your kids. And so we were laughing about how like I need to find her and like we need like
friends,
motorcycle jackets and like how to become a gang. But anyway, I ended up selling that bike during the pandemic. Got actually almost all the money. Like it really maintains the value. And because my kids were so big at that point that it was hard like balancing. Yeah. Like if they moved, I would be like, stop! Like, stay straight. But,
you can sit in the cargo section like a statue.
Yes. But I actually miss it and I could see myself getting another one. Like if there was enough stuff for me to be able to bike safely too, I would. Like I remember I would go grocery shopping or I'd go to the garden center and like everything, and just have all the stuff in the...
It's a culture thing also, right? Like it's a culture thing in terms of like, you know, like you're saying that's so unusual in our area. Yeah. Like I feel like what's really big in our area is like road bikes.
Yes.
Like, there's road bikes.
People.
Like if you're in our, like where we go hiking, which isn't too far, there's just like, there's no time when I'm driving to the hike where there's not road bikes, but there's like a culture around it.
Oh, totally.
And
it's not safe for them though. There's no room for them.
I'm always in awe of how much situational awareness is required to do the whole road bike thing. Or like I grew up in Toronto, and I'm just like, this is a specific skill that you develop. And there is a really big bike culture in Toronto that has, I think, a very different feeling to the biking culture in the Netherlands.
Yes.
In contrast.
Yes.
But I love the idea actually of like you being out in Burlington with your cargo bike and people stopping and being like, what's that?
Yeah, what is happening here?
And starting, right? Starting even the possibility. Because like you went to, you had your experience, you shared it with us, and for like, you know, the week afterwards, I was thinking to myself, like, man, when was the last time I got on a bike? And like, what might that look like? And how do I like make that happen? And who do I know who has a bike that I can get on rather than me going out and purchasing a bike or finding a bike? You know what I mean?
I love it.
So.
Oh my God. I love it.
That's a long tangent, but I love it.
It's a tangent, but it's actually, it's so funny.
It's related
links.
though.
Yes, and it also links, I was going to say, is he gone? No. It links to actually what I'm about to show. So in Amsterdam, one of the really, I think, important attractions is Anne Frank's house. So probably you know the story of Anne Frank, but she was a young girl who had Jewish girl in the Second World War, where her family was hidden above a office building, like in a back section of an office building for 2 years. And you can go to and then you can look up her story. And she wrote a diary. This is the reason. So you can actually like this. She was 12, I think, to 14. So you get this coming of age, unbelievable kind of account. I know, it was really beautiful. So we wanted to go see that. But you actually have to book it now. Like you have to book it like 3 months, is it 6 weeks in advance, I think? Wow. Thank God my husband was on this. I didn't know this. We would never have gone. But he got on it. But he wasn't really, either he wasn't thinking about it or didn't really consider, but it turned out that we arrived like on the Tuesday and our time was the Wednesday. Like, so we basically arrived in the Netherlands, had to go up north, and then basically jet lagged and all, the next morning we had to bus into Amsterdam, like get on trains and stuff. We were like, oh, I hope that's not too much, but it ended up being great. So we're in there, we go to Anne Frank's house, we do like a boat tour, which, can I also say, I had been to Amsterdam before and had never done a boat tour. Canal kind of cruise, thinking like, and I remember people would say, oh, you got to do it because it's different. I'm like, really? Like you can see these beautiful canals from the bridges. Why do I need that? No, do it. Like really, like
you need it.
You do need it. There's like a different perspective, and there's some larger canals that you would never actually be able to be in. You're in the middle of it to see. Oh, that was amazing. Anyway, so we're almost ready to go home. And John's like, well, is there anything else, you want to do? Because I had been to Amsterdam, but it had been many years before. I wasn't a knitter. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to get some wool.
Gotta get some wool.
And then I'm like, I'm in Amsterdam. I obviously had to go to Stephen and Penelope. Like, I almost didn't, Jackie. I almost
That's
didn't
how good
even
the
think
biking was. The biking was so good that you forgot about Stephen and Penelope.
I hadn't even biked then. By that point, I hadn't even biked.
Okay.
I had no excuse.
Like, oh my God.
My brain, but it was like this moment of like, oh my God, I know where I have to go. And he's like, okay.
I love that John's just like, I don't know what needs to happen, but there's something that needs to happen related to wool. Like,
because we will have to be coming back later because she'll have realized something his soul knew deep inside. Anyway, so I'm like, we gotta go. So he's like, yeah, let's go. We go over and I'm over. So Stephen and Penelope, if like the designer Stephen West, this is his shop. He moved to Amsterdam however many years ago and opened the shop. And I'm like, I've got to go. And they have their own yarn line. So like Sonder Yarn, this when, Melissa and Lisa owned Espace Tricot, like they had a yarn line.
Like a house line.
A house line.
A house brand.
So they have one as well. And
What?
yes. Okay. Now, funny things happen, right? I'm going in and I'm like, oh, I remember a particular pattern. So I'm like, what am I gonna knit, right? Like I go in.
We went into with a plan.
No plan. I walked into the store. What am I gonna knit?
Okay, gotcha.
And I was like, oh, I remember there was this pattern that I really like. Nope, it's okay, Lily. It's okay. He's leaving. I think he's
left.
I think we're gonna be okay in a second.
Lily.
Shh, Lily, come here.
Lily, show me.
Good girl.
Good girl.
So I remember a pattern from Lina magazine. Now I knew it was Lina. I didn't know which issue it was, but it turns out it was this. And this is what's so funny because because Jackie contacts me yesterday and was like, do you happen to have like Lina issue 10? There's something I'm thinking I want to knit. I'm like, really? Really? What? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I wonder what it is, but I don't know if it's this one.
No, it's not, but I know exactly what's in there that you're knitting.
So, I remember this beautiful sweater by Vera Välimäki and so I'm going in, I remember, and I'm talking to the girls there. I have no internet for some reason. My phone's not working. My husband's phone's not working. Just in this one store. I'm like, okay, you girls help me. Like, I'm like, I know it was Lina, but I don't know which one. I know it was Vera Välimäki. We couldn't find like the thing. End up finally finding this pattern. Took a while, but it was worth it. Let me see if I can get the picture. Well, I'm about to show you, but I'll show you the picture because this is what got me.
I do actually love seeing the sample. Oh! Color work plus baubles!
Color work plus baubles. I
Tiny
saw this one.
bubbles.
Yes. And I remember, this is years ago. So this is 2020, winter 2020. This is stuck in my head the whole time. And I remembered looking at it and being like, oh, it's from Stephen West's line.
Is it?
Yes, it's made out of his wool. Now he has two, he's got a sport, or like a fingering weight and it's kind of a sport weight, and a DK. The DK is called Tandem. This is in the other one. Do you know what's called? Oh, why did you come back? Damn, I'm sorry. Lily, it's okay.
Lily, it's fine.
The other one's called Bicycle.
Oh my gosh. How appropriate. Wait, this is pre biking adventures though, right?
Pre-biking adventures. Completely. Yeah. So I'm like, obviously this is what I'm doing. I'm like, that's what I'm gonna knit. I'm gonna knit this in.
Nice.
This is it. Bicycle, Stephen West, and I'll get to this one really quickly. Like I'll show you one of my other sweaters of Eurus I've been working on. I was knitting that on the plane and enjoying it so much. I was like, I cannot put this down. I can't wait. And then I realized I had forgotten to bring another skein. So I realized all I had was this one ball. And as it was like dwindling, I was dying and feeling so sad. But luckily this happened.
There's a yard store.
And I was able to
emergencies.
actually use the beautiful community we have, because I was like, I didn't happen to bring line of 10 with me, believe it or not. And I'm like, I don't want to wait till I'm home, but I'm like, but I bought it, like, you know, so I actually like put out in our community, I was like, does anybody have line of 10? Like you can like DM me. And this wonderful person did, and she gave me, so she was able to like take the picture, so I was able to start while I was there. Are you ready?
Oh my god, I can't wait for the color. I can't wait for the color. Every
The
time
color
you do
is
things
so
with
beautiful
colors,
on
I just
here,
get so excited.
But it's, I think, even better. Okay, and now I have done Jackie's strategy of actually starting to do this sleeve. So it is a little bit chaotic with all the different pieces here. Okay. Actually, I'll put it on. But, oh my god. Oh my god.
Look at your baubles.
Well, your baubles. These
Not
are the
my
same.
baubles.
No, I mean, these are them. Although I will say, because you do it with 5 and you had to do it 4 times, I was like, some of them are more than they should be. They're not all the same size. Some of them have 5 rounds.
Look at the look how, tell me all about the yarn because,
Okay.
oh my gosh.
Okay, so when I first bought it, I didn't really know what the makeup was. I actually considered you, and then I was like, I don't know what the colors are that you would want, and I wasn't sure if it was superwash.
Sweet.
Turns out it's not superwash. This yarn is, I need more. Can you, I don't know if it's really coming up. It's so even. Like, look at that. That's on like small circulars, right? Like, I mean, I find.
Like your stitch definition here is ridiculous.
It's not me, it's the yarn. And it's
ridiculous.
so soft.
Oh.
It's so soft that I thought it was superwash, but it has a structure to it. It's not slippery. So doing color work is really enjoyable.
Soft.
Now it's another toothpick knit. So it's like, it was done in
is.
2, this was 1.5, US 1.5s, 2.5, I think.
I don't know.
And then I went up.
2.5, you're right.
Yeah, and then I went up to a 2.5, I think, for the color work, and then back
Just a
down
millimeter.
to, I think these ones I'm on
You're on
2s. I think 2s for
Look at
2.75.
that. Is that the sample color?
These are the exact sample colors, and what's funny is that I think on here it is still coming out more orangey,
Orange?
but in person it's a coral.
It's the perfect neon coral.
Yeah. And the blue
God,
with it, like as I was
red.
doing it, I'm like, oh my god. And then this, which I thought was white,
Pink.
it's pink. So my daughter and I, actually, she's very artistic, so she was with me, and I was like, honey, let's find, these are the colors we need to find. And when we were looking on the thing, I couldn't even know, like I didn't know. I was like, it can't be that. Like I'm like, but she was able to get them immediately. She could like look at it and know.
She's got like color matching vision.
Yes. Now, one thing, an unintentional mod I have made is that there actually should be little red or like coral dots in the middle
in the center.
That I didn't because I was not paying attention. Because do you know what I was doing while I was knitting this? I was drinking wine with Hannah, and I was like, it's something like this, like, and I'm like, it must be. I didn't even look because it was on my phone, right? So I was just, but yeah, I like it as it is. I love it.
I don't feel like anything's missing.
I was so close this morning when you were when you arrived. I was like, literally, I need probably three more. It's twisted red. 3 more rows of this, and then I'll bind off. But I think I can still put this on.
Carmen,
right? I love it, and I'm so happy because it was like
striking.
I always knew I wanted to wear it. Like I always wanted to make this, but I couldn't. It was partly the actual color combo as well that was so important to this. Like, so actually just being there and feeling. Okay, sorry, it's not going to be exactly, obviously. Okay, here, and I've got strings hanging everywhere. Right?
Is the gray blue?
It has a bluey undertone.
It's the perfect gray, people.
I think it's the perfect gray too.
It's the perfect gray.
And I feel like
I love
it too. I'm hoping I think what I'm gonna do is actually shape this a bit. You'll see in this one. Well, you can look online. It's a more oversized fit, but as I was making it, I feel like I don't want it to be too oversized. So I have, I made the sleeves. I've been decreasing them sooner.
So you're doing a tight fit.
A tighter fit, yeah. Sleeve, and I'm gonna crop doing my normal. That's my favorite place for a sleeve to hit.
What do we call that?
Maybe bracelet length? I
feel like it's a little shorter than bracelet.
A little shorter, like watch length. It kind of fits where my watch is. But I just am so.
Call it like a 7/8.
Oh,
7/8 length.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't remember if
I'm about. It ends up being about 2 inches shorter than my.
Are you gonna keep the if I look at the sample? It's like how
big it is.
It's tight through the sleeve, but a lot of ease through the body.
Yes.
Are you I'm sorry, did I just hit you with the book?
I didn't even notice at this point.
I don't know.
Maybe I get hit so often, but by the way, I was thinking about it. I'm like, you didn't hit me at all with any of these shawls, and you just showed 3. I don't know if you were doing that intentionally, but like, I was thinking about safety.
I don't know. I just felt like
it's all good. It's all good. I love it. This, I'm going to start knitting it. I think I do want to shape it a bit. Because I'm looking at it and it does look, it's always so deceiving, right? Because once you have this cord and it falls nicer, I feel it might be actually not as
big,
wide as I
think it's going to
concerned
be big.
It might be. Do you think so?
Yeah. You know what I sometimes do for top-down sweater fit is I will pull the cord out in the sides like this. Because the stitches get stretched out when they're on the cord.
Oh, smart! Yes, that's very smart.
This, so that I get a sense of what the actual.
Oh, beautiful!
Right?
Yeah.
So actually, it's maybe not.
It's not as bad as it seems.
Right, because what's
initially
happening when you don't do that is that the stitches are stretching along the cord.
You're right. That makes total sense.
Because I did that, now I've dropped a bunch of your stitches.
Oh yeah, because okay. Oh yeah.
Although, in my defense, there's just nothing at the end.
No, there isn't. Look at this, people.
I'm sorry.
Look at this.
Oh
no. So, do you know I broke my other one? So I thought I was being so smart. Sorry, I'm just gonna put this in here. I thought I was being so smart doing the sleeve first, like Jackie says to do. And she's right, it's a really good idea.
Just for fit. Look at you trying on a top down. She's trying this on. Oh my god, it looks so good, Carmen.
I really love this.
Carmen.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, but because of that, I just left these, and I thought it was fine because it's on a 50,
yeah, it's on
right?
a long cord.
But then I got up off my chair, and so that's been hanging, and I was doing the sleeve, and I sat and I snapped my bamboo. Lily, it's okay. Shh. See, he's all gone. He's all gone. Yeah, I snapped the one, and then do you know, I lost stitches yesterday, and I was like, you should probably put an end stopper on there. You should probably just get off your chair and get the end stopper and just put it on. I'm like, there's so much space.
There is so much space.
No,
until your friend starts to pull on the cord.
Sure, but it wasn't fine before, and it's, again, not fine, but whatever.
It's okay.
I love this.
Watchable.
As I put this on, I mean, it's one of those times where you put it on and you're like, I love it even more.
It's so good. Carmen.
I feel like it's a very nice fit.
Carmen.
Right?
It's so good.
And it's Amsterdam. And actually in her little write-up, it was so sweet. It had to do with like the beach, which we had been going to, right? Like there's so much beachiness out, especially where we were. This whole thing is all falling apart. Oh, the Rusamine one. That was the Sally. Maybe eventually I'll talk about that one. Oh, it's gonna be in the back, I think. I don't know where it is. Maybe I'm not gonna be able to get this.
Here, you talk, I'll look.
Thank you. Oh, here it is. Did she write it here? This relaxed sweater is inspired by the seashore and all the treasures we can find on a salty walk by the beach. We walk bare feet down the water's edge to feel the salty water and the sand we walk on or the pebbles under our feet. Like in tiny pebbles, all the possibilities and adventures in nature turned into colorwork themes, turned into stitch memories that we can cherish year after year. Like I just was like, that's
so
what I'm looking for. Like I'm like, I'm gonna remember this trip. It's such a, like, I love travel knitting stuff because I remember where I was at. I remember like getting the wool, my daughter being there with me, like having fun doing that. Like, it's great.
You know what I love? I've been starting to think about, you know, some knits we knit for the aesthetic pleasure, some knits we knit because it's a goddess shawl. But increasingly I've been feeling drawn to the idea of like knitting heirloom pieces.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like pieces that, that mark a particular time, that we can like pass on to people with the story, right? And so when you say that thing about your daughter, like I have this idea of like someday how wonderful it would be for her to wear the sweater.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
Or for her to like have the sweater, like, I mean, it's non-superwash wool. It's like 80 years from now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as you say, so when I was meeting with Hannah, she was talking about how there's a term, I think in Dutch, for 4 generations of living women.
Yeah.
And she has that right now, and I'm pretty sure it's her Fleur shawl.
It is.
Is it? Did you know this? Yeah. Oh, so it would be, she's knit it for her grandmother, and then that will be moved down as things like, you know, through the generations.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so beautiful. So yeah, just the same thing that you're talking about. I love it. I feel like this is, like, as I'm putting it on, I feel like this really fits really nicely. This is the other
thing. I feel like, you know, we've had a lot of conversations on this podcast about like fit and our preferred fit, and you didn't knit the Barren Lands sweater by Liv Olvin, and that's a round yoke sweater that fit you really well. But I think you still have some hesitations around round yoke sweaters because they don't, the proportion of increases doesn't fit your body.
Yes.
And I was thinking about that as you were like, I love this sweater, and you put it on and it's just perfection.
It is. Okay, actually, as I'm thinking about it, I did do a mod. So this is I love how much you love me. And my craziness.
We're both like this. We're like, there were no modifications. Actually,
I did everything. It's almost like, not the same. So I was thinking of Liv's sweater. One thing that I loved so much about hers was that it was a much shorter yoke before the splitting of the sleeves. I think this was supposed to be another, maybe even 2 inches.
Oh, so before you split for sleeves.
And so for myself, I was like, oh, I know though what I like, because for me, and you can go back in our episodes because we kind of talked about our theories about what like, and again, it comes down to what you like, but I feel like I have broader shoulders, and because of that, I want it to stretch a little. Like there's something about the size of the yoke that helps me. If
Yoke
it's too
depth.
long, if it's too long, it's just it's bulky and gathers, and I have like wings and stuff. Like it's like this weird. It doesn't fit right. So anyway, I was mindful of that, and so like I did try it on. No, first of all, I went with more of a magic numbers idea.
Okay.
So I was like, I remembered exactly the amount for lives.
Like the yoke depth?
The yoke depth.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I think I would like a little more because I think it's a bit roomier than what I was doing with that one. So I basically extended it, and then I tried it on. I knit it and tried it on to make sure. Glad I did.
And it's perfect.
Actually, I would like it as a little like cap sleeve, hey? Like
every time I have a round yoke sweater and I split for sleeves and I try it on, I always think, God, this would be so cute as a t-shirt.
Oh, here's the other one. There's another person that's now going to be doing some work outside.
Lily doesn't live here. Lily is my dog.
Yeah.
And she is very protective at other people's houses. At
not
other
yours?
people's houses. Like at my house, she'll do like, we have like a 2 bark warning system where she'll bark and then she'll bark and then I'm like, I got it. Fine. and then she's very sweet and she's like, but I'm a dog and I need to bark. And instead of her big bark, she goes, like she's like, I know I'm not supposed to do it.
Tell her that we've got it.
I don't know.
We've got it. Okay, we're good.
But she's like, she's camped out literally by the window, just like staring. She's like,
don't make any wrong moves. I'm my eyes on you. I may not be barking, but I'm aware.
Well, she is barking. She's both barking and giving her most intense security dog glare, which if you guys have ever seen her, it's not very daunting at all.
Actually, I was noticing the person that's coming in, they're doing some work. He's doing some work outside. He was smiling. Like he could see her, and he was like smiling as in, oh yeah, you're so scary.
I know, exactly.
You go and you bark at me.
She's just like, she's like so loving and protective, but like nobody's afraid.
No, cutie. Oh, she's just she's sitting
staring
at attention.
Yeah.
Okay, was that all I wanted to say? I think that's it. So this was my so this has been the sweater then that I ended up knitting on. Yeah. During my trip, and then I'm almost done that sleeve.
It's so beautiful.
I'll do the other one, and then I will finish. So by our next podcast, that should be done.
It's so good.
It's so good, and I just really want to say I will order more of this wool. I really have been so impressed. And I don't know, I probably would have knit something anyway with it, but just because, but having this pattern, just pop in my head, I'm just so excited. And it was so funny because it wasn't one that they had as a sample or anything. We had to literally search for it.
This is 100% non-superwash Falkland merino.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel it has the softness of merino, but it has a little something. Like a grip.
Yeah, it's grip.
Because it might
gritty,
be,
but
it's
it's
like
grippy.
the Falkland.
Yeah.
Like Falkland merino being distinct from merino, but man, I just want this gray. This blue gray is
beautiful.
Perfect.
But also I'm gonna show you these as they this is what when I bought it and it was just sitting in a bag, I'm like, oh my god. Isn't that just a great color combo? And I have these extra, I actually was thinking about you if you liked it. I probably will have enough to do again because, and it's in 50 grams. So they sell in 50 gram
increments.
skeins.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so it was much cheaper.
Because you don't end up with all of those extras because you're not getting full skeins for color work.
And I'm not even close to it. And do you know, I was also considering.
More? Are you done the color part? Is it just straight?
Yeah, that's it. I had considered putting it on the sleeves too. Right? No. And I even actually I was considering doing another set of this here And I started doing it, but then I thought that I wanted that as that balance, like symmetrical.
Right.
But then when I was doing it, no, I'm like, oh no, I really like it as it is.
I really like the crosses. Like when I look at that, what my eye goes to is the perfection of the crosses, and like, I don't know if it comes across on camera, just that combination between color work and texture.
Yeah, like the bobbles.
Which is like, ordinarily, like when Line of 10 came out and I like looked through it, as I look through all the linas and like trying to figure out how many patterns of like, do I actually want to knit, or am I going to wait for it to be like released as an individual pattern, which that's what I was going to look up here to see.
Oh, is it individual? Yeah, I think you can get it. No?
No.
Oh, so some of them don't
don't get released individually, but I remember like this also like buried itself inside of my head, this particular pattern, because of that combination between like color work and texture. And although it is like not at all ordinarily like an ordinary Jackie aesthetic, I remembered it because there was just something about it. But when I look at it now, what I love the most is those little crosses, which I think wouldn't have been as prominent if you hadn't made your like mistake.
Actually, we can show it because it's true. Because
it totally
then it becomes,
changes
it's X's and O's. That's what it becomes. See, like you can still see the X's, but it becomes, there's like sort of an O shape that comes in there.
Yeah, and I think for me, just the omission of that makes it like I could almost wear it, because it's part of the reason that I, would never think about casting it on is because I just felt like that's a lot of yoke. Right?
Like intensity wise?
Yeah, intensity and just like busyness. Like it just felt like really busy. But when I look at it here, it doesn't look busy at all.
That is so interesting. That
but when I look at it in the picture, I was busier. Like, busy to me. Which busy is fine. Like busy is gorgeous.
Oh God, all the sheets.
See, Carmen has used Line of 10 many, many times, as you can see.
I have actually. I was just gonna say a
lot of things out of it.
Line of 10, like they're different ones. Some of them are better than others. Not better, but like have more maybe patterns than others. Like so you might think,
am I gonna cast on?
Will I buy this? You should, like, if you like this, it's worth getting Line of 10. Like Snowy Forest is in here, like
the Portia shawl,
by
Natasha Hornby,
the
my Snowfield by Maxim Seeger. Like there's so many good patterns in that.
So many good ones.
In that one. But I love this sweater. I mean, like, again, you knit things that I never in a million years would think I need to cast that on, and now I'm like, way the leftovers.
Oh, I'm 100% feel like there's definitely enough. It really didn't take very much. And I made the size 2, but I am kind of doing size 1 arms. And as I say,
you split for sleeves earlier, which is going to change some of the things.
Oh yeah, because actually the first 4 sizes are the same. And then like all the way till here, it's like it has to do with like
the
how
increase
long
is actually happening below the motif.
Inside here. And so then this is all just straight.
Okay.
And then and then the second half of the sizes has one more section of
increases. So beautiful.
It's awesome.
It's so beautiful. You wear a neon.
Oh, I do
so well.
Neon.
You wear neon so well.
Yeah, it's so funny because it is a bold color, but it also feels kind of neutrally to me, which is kind of funny. It's not neutral.
Yeah, but it works.
But it does. It doesn't feel like it's like, whoa, like some of my pink sweater, my umpo.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, like, I don't know if I'm walking around and this is fully done and I'm wearing it with a pair of jeans or something. Like if it would be like, whoa, it just might be like,
it's so perfect.
It's so pretty. Like that's a pretty.
And that gray blue and the pop of coral, like somehow it's just so Carmen.
So good.
I love it so much.
So good. And this was the first time knitting by Vera Valimaki, and I've admired so many of her patterns, and it's been perfect so far. And that's testament, right? Because in a magazine in Lina, like you don't have a lot of space, right? So
you have to be sparing.
You have to be very sparing, and you have to do, and there's been no problems going through.
Absolutely stunning.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Absolutely gorgeous.
Here we go. Do I take this off or do I just
stay here?
Stay here.
In its half finished form.
Yeah, wouldn't be the first time.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Do you know, I was just really quickly, I was knitting the sleeve and I was cold. And what I did is I left it on because I just tried it on. I was knitting, trying to figure out how far to go on my sleeve. So I just turned it and I was knitting the sleeve while wearing it. It was pretty nice.
Lovely.
Okay, anyway.
I love that.
What's your next thing?
Oh God, what is my next thing?
Oh, wait. No, I'm just thinking like what would be next. I do want, are you going to be telling us? No, are you going to be telling us? So when you said you're going to knit something here, do you want to like put that in the universe or no? Is that going to be the like.
The curse?
The curse.
No, I do actually want to show that.
Because I was so, I just thought that was so funny, right? Coincidental that you would be wanting line of 10.
Something out of line of 10?
Yeah, that I was just knitting from that.
Okay, so this is like our travel adventure is continued. So, you know what's funny? You know how some podcasters are like, I'm sorry that I'm about to show acquisitions if you're like not here for acquisitions. And somehow that got like buried into my brain about like, let's not show acquisitions or something like that. But I was thinking about it yesterday, that I'm somebody who doesn't mind when somebody shows acquisitions
I love
at all. I love
exciting.
it. What I notice for myself is when if I'm watching a podcast and like they go into the acquisition section, what it does create for me is like a feeling, what it can create for me is a feeling of like, oh my God, I want that, I need to have it. Mm-hmm. And if, for example, they're showing something that like I don't have access to or I can't have access to, sometimes it makes me feel like, not like frustrated, but that's the moment where I'm kind of like, oh, I can see, like maybe that's why people apologize for the acquisition sections. Like I don't actually know why people apologize for the acquisition section, but that's me trying to like sort of, I'm like, you know, people are apologizing for stuff and you're like, why are you apologizing for that? Yeah. But so many people apologize for acquisitions.
Right. Or they put it at the end and like, if you're gonna leave
like, if you're
now.
gonna leave now.
Pizza, come here, honey pie. Come here.
But anyhow, so I'm gonna show an acquisition, and I'm showing the acquisition mostly because of the story around it. Like I really want to share the story. And my hope is that if you're somebody who like traditionally turns a podcast off during the acquisition phase, you can skip to the next chapter. Yeah. We'll stamp it. But I also want to encourage you to sort of think about what is it about the acquisition section that you don't like that like doesn't make you feel good. Because for me, I love an acquisition section like 99.72% of the time because it's dream knitting.
Yes.
It's like
and it's just looking at beauty. Yeah. Even if I never have it. It's just beautiful wool.
And it has and I'm always like hopeful that that creative spark.
I took this off because I realized when I had to get up to get the dogs, which I knew was about to happen, I'd be dragging wool with me, so that's why.
That like we allow ourselves to desire what it is that we desire, and that we allow ourselves to like celebrate that creative spark. And maybe like for me, what's been helpful for me is to place a pause between that moment of like really desiring something and whether I can actually have the thing or not. I like give that creative spark time to either, you know, be a flash in the pan or like turn into a fire. Like, do you know what I mean? That like, whether you have access to it or not, if there's something about it that you have this feeling like, oh, that desire, it's like, can you just ride the desire?
Yes.
Instead of getting attached to the thing.
Yes.
Right?
And moving maybe through like, I didn't hear your whole thing, what you said, but like, it's almost like lust and love, right?
Yeah.
Like, and like, they're different, they're matched, but they're different.
Yeah.
And sometimes the lust doesn't last. So wait.
Yeah,
a little bit to see.
And just let yourself have that lusty moment.
Yeah.
Like let
enjoy
yourself
that,
feel
that's
lustful
really
because I think that's part of being human. And like might even go as far as saying like we all experience envy sometimes and we all experience jealousy sometimes. Yes. And if the acquisition section is a place that makes you feel those things and you're uncomfortable with it, so you turn it off, like here's your invitation to kind of say like, yeah, I'm feeling frustrated or like jealous or envious or like I'm lusting after this thing and frustrated that I can't have it. And the invitation is to kind of say like, for me is I've come into a place where I'm like, there's so much fiber out there that if I can't have this thing, but this like creative spark of like, I want it and I desire it is incredibly strong. There will be something that's going to like fulfill it if that lust is in fact love. Like,
yes,
do you know what I mean?
That's right. It will come into your hands.
It will come.
And other ones will kind of flit.
Yeah, it'll fade away.
Absolutely.
And so it's been helpful for me to like put a pause between like when acquisition section happens and I'm like, oh my God, I love something. And like going and shopping Cardigan. That's just me, because often when I do that, I end up acquiring something in my stash that never gets on the needles. I know. Because it's lust.
I know.
Right? And it's okay, because I trust that will turn into something else.
Yes.
But
it absolutely will. But yes,
anyway,
I agree.
I don't know how this was related to, I went on a tangent.
Well,
Anyhow.
Yeah. Well, no.
I want to talk about this yarn that I acquired when I was on the East Coast. We went to go visit Nova Scotia for the hiking and for the ocean, and also incidentally my husband has ancestry there. So we wanted to go and explore that, and of course Ellie does learn from your partner that when we go on vacation, he has to pause and check for the yarn stop. Is there a yarn stop in this place that we can be in?
So we can get extra bonus points.
So we can get bonus points.
Smart man. It's a very
He's a good learner.
Yes, it's an easy thing to do, and it's very effective.
Yeah, he's like, are there yarny things that you want to do? So there were yarny things. And incidentally, so this is something, so I ended up discovering this company called the Opulent Alpaca, which like, can we take a moment and just talk about what a like cute name that is and how much I love it. So the Opulent Alpaca is a family-owned, family-run company that's based in Inverness, which is sort of on Cape Breton Island, so the eastern part of Nova Scotia. And they're like everything that I love. So they have a herd of alpacas that they've had alpacas since like 1996, and they used to sort of like take the fleeces and basically sell them or give them to other mills. And at some point along the way, the owners decided, why don't we actually mill our own? Like, why don't we give it a try? So they have this like teeny tiny mini mill. I love mini mills.
I want a mini mill.
They have a mini mill, and so now what they're doing is they're producing their own yarn.
Oh my God.
Opulent Alpaca.
Sorry, I covered it
okay.
as like, yeah.
And if I'm not sure if I can express what it is about this that I love. I love the color. I love how it feels. It just like stopped me in my tracks. It's they make these blends called 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, where because they have a small flock of alpacas and they started adding sheep because they wanted to be able to make a variety of different yarns, and like 100% alpaca can only be used for certain things, and so they were like, we want to like
stretches.
Yeah, they wanted to play with blends, and because it was like a mini. I met one of the owners, Barry, at the store, and we spent a lot of time together, and he like took me into the back and like showed me the mill and let me pet all the fleece.
Oh
and
my
like this
God.
is just like that's like my dream fiber encounter, right? So what was I saying? This is 1/3 Wensleydale, 1/3 Romney, and 1/3 Hoyaka alpaca. And it is just absolutely so luscious. And when I saw it, sometimes the projects come like fully formed. And when I saw it, I was like, I know exactly what I want this to be. And it's...
I'm thinking him through, like, can I guess?
This sweater.
Oh, that is not what I expected, but yes.
This sweater, the Dinny.
Oh, yes.
Sweater.
That's such a beautiful sweater, too.
Oh. Absolutely. And so this is where is the specs?
Aaron? I know, I'm sorry, now you're going to have to look through.
No, it's
all going to be different. Oh, there you go.
So this is a designer that I love. Her Instagram handle is Kouvive, Kouvive. She's a beautiful designer, and it is, I'm very confused about this in terms of the gauge. I believe this is a DK slash
Oh yeah, DK light
Aran,
worsted.
like light worsted pattern. The sample was knit in Brusca by Rosa Pomar, which is a very rustic. I've knit with it before. It's like rustic.
Grabby.
I would say it's crispy.
Yeah.
Like it's the kind of rustic that's crispy. It has a lot of structure and then also a drape. I remember when I was knitting with it, I was like, how is this worsted? Because it was like so teeny tiny skinny and like crispy when I was knitting with it. And then you like block it and like magic happens.
Cool.
So I think that's what I want to knit this into. That was like the immediate, like that was the lust. Like I got it, I saw it, and like it was like the pattern formed in my mind.
Yes.
And now that several nights have gone by since I acquired this wool, now I'm like not sure anymore for a couple of reasons. One, I haven't swatched with it. Two, I don't have enough yardage.
But you do, because you always make things smaller.
But I think that like if I crop it,
which you will,
I'll be okay.
You always do.
I'm close, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
But I also, now looking at it.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, and with alpaca, even though the wool will help, it probably will relax.
I don't know, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
I
I mean,
think it
Romney is pretty drapey
not,
by
guess.
itself.
That's true. Yeah.
Like I am gonna swatch. This one I am gonna swatch. But this morning when I looked at it, there's a part of me that was like, maybe this becomes an heirloom knit. And for me, there's something about an heirloom that is like classic, like simple, timeless. And so there's a part of me that is like, do I just knit this into like a one color, you know, turtleneck raglan or a turtleneck drop shoulder sweater that's just like a classic piece. Although I do think this one's pretty classic.
I was just gonna say, so to me, I mean, I guess what we consider classic, right? To me, a cabled sweater, that's so classic.
I'm in my
and it
like
has a little bit of a cool like
has that mock neck
top, which
that
you
I
love.
love
So
this
you
mock
get
neck.
the high neck, but in a different.
I don't know if and so that's where the swatching is going to be helpful for me.
Will it
here.
stand up?
Like, will it stand up? And then also, are you going to be able to see the cable in this dark yarn?
That was
That's the
that
question.
was the question that popped.
Because it is a little bit heathered. I love this yarn so much. It's so good.
It's so beautiful.
It's so good.
It's soft but grippy. Oh, it's so pretty.
So taking ideas, guys. What would you, when you see this, what would you knit from it? Okay, so here's the crazy thing. I've been playing with this idea of wanting to have a completely, like, to be in the really beginner's mind experience. So when it was like, let's go do a yarny thing time, I was like, I'm just gonna look at like, where is their fiber stuff, where like nearby or en route on our road trip, and I'm not gonna go on the website. I'm not gonna read about it.
Yes.
Like I'm gonna check like hours of operation because I will cry if I go there and it's closed. That would be a very sad day. Like this needs to happen. So I checked like hours of operation, and you know, like I just read like the first couple of lines to see what it was about, and so when I saw like, you know, family owned mini mill, I'm like, that one. Like I think that there were lots of actually. Man, like Nova Scotia has a vibrant like fiber community. There were so many yarn shops. Like when I Googled yarn shop Nova Scotia, it was like
many options.
But this is where I ended up.
And for those not Canadian, don't know, Nova Scotia is actually quite a small province, like on the east coast of Canada. If you said that, but
beautiful. I did
not. So like to have that many yarn shops,
a lot of yarn shops. That's a lot. Kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so I went into the shop, had a wonderful time meeting Barry. He like walked around. We walked around like together. Like he showed me all the things. He like told me about all the different, because they're milling it themselves. Like he was like, and this one is this combo, and this one is this combo, because he does all these thirds. They have a web shop, so you can go to the web shop and like look at all the amazing things that they're making. But I didn't really read about it. I just like heard his story, right? Which is like, they've been raising alpacas since 1996 and they just started this mini mill venture. And so all of this is like experimentation. And he's like, and so we're like, I literally went in and there was nobody like in the store, but you can see into the back where the mini mill is. And he like came out with his like giant, you know, like ear protector things that all the like mill people wear because you should. And he was just like, I'm sorry, I'm just blending some fleece. Like, let me know if I can help you. And I'm like, I love this place.
Can I
was like, go and blend the fleece. Like, I'm gonna be here for a while because it was just like walls of like naturally dyed and like natural toned, like every gray and brown, and then also all this like naturally dyed stuff. It was just amazing. But then after the fact, I went on their website and I was reading about their story, and how crazy is this? They're related to Elliot. Like in a very like distant kind of way, but like from the same like family line that like immigrated from Scotland to Canada and like landed in Cape Breton first.
Yeah.
And then eventually like
some of the
along comes Elliot and like
oh
so
God.
now I'm like now I'm like it needs to be like
heirloom.
perfect heirloom knit. But isn't it amazing? Sure. Like I didn't know.
I love that.
I had no idea.
But I feel like I want to offer you the extra possibility. So it's true that you have bought this and that story is so beautiful. And so there is something so magical about that particular yarn. But another way to see it would be that this yarn becomes like because you can get more of it, right? So maybe the first one doesn't have to be like trust
that initial like spark.
Maybe it's something else and maybe your heirloom piece comes later because. And I feel, actually, as I'm thinking, as I'm speaking, like for you, you do so much of like, here's my first round. What's my second round is that like, you don't stop. Like your first round is your first round.
It's my first pancake.
You know, but exactly, but you love that.
Yeah, I do
so
love
maybe
that.
your heirloom piece, I'm just like, as an offering, your heirloom piece might come later and do what feels right.
So I acquired this, I got this, and then I also got I got another skein, which I'll just show you because now that you've said that, now there's like there's like a bug in my
I like it.
thought, which is the other skein that I bought is this gorgeous.
It's like rose gold. Look at it.
It's called
Is that
Champagne.
No. Okay, because I was like,
it's a blend. It's 1/3 alpaca, 1/3 bamboo, 1/3 merino. And like this is, to me, I'm like, this is the homiest Jackie color of all time.
Ooh, this one first, then this one.
Okay, then this one. But like maybe this heirloom knit is this one. I don't know. I just
look at them together.
I know.
So good.
And also, where's the Eurus?
Oh yeah.
This was my other thought. Is this color combo?
Oh, together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like this brown and the
beautiful.
icy blue.
Yes.
Like,
I thought you were gonna say like to do the Eurus in this one, and I was like, oh, I don't know.
No.
Might
The
be too
Eurus,
many of the,
I have this on my
we
needles.
obviously have these.
I started this pattern. We should talk about that next. It's so good.
It's not. You can't. I couldn't put it down. I was forced to put it down.
Oh my god.
I had no yarn. Oh my god, it's beautiful. Look at that.
So
yes,
beautiful.
all of that combo. Oh. Yes.
So, dream away. I do have to say, I don't think that there's any more of this. Because I don't really know. Because this is the thing. So here's the thing about small producers. They have small flocks.
Right.
And fleeces are only so big.
Yes.
And fleeces change from year to year. What I will say when I was in the store was that there was a lot in this family of colors.
Okay.
But
not that particular.
Not this particular
thing, but that family of colors.
I bought out every last skein of this one. Sorry. But you know, actually, I was gonna come full circle. So the lust for this actually started like months ago when our friend Hannah sent me this picture of a Zwarblez mix. that was in this like perfect rich brown.
Yes.
And I mean, I probably could have bought it. Like Hannah was very generous and she was like, if you would like, I will buy it for you and I will ship it, because it was, so again, lovely. Like super small flock, like these people who have like
bought it home, you know.
Yes.
It's literally right there.
But it just felt to me like, even though I was lusting after it, and I had all these like wonderful invitations of people who were like, we will get it to you if you need to, for some reason I was like, it's okay.
I'm okay.
Like, I'm gonna insert a pause, and when it releases, if it sells out and I don't have the time to like, you know, buy it, be there at the shop update, like it's okay. And it came out and it didn't sell out, and like the next day and the day afterwards it was still there, but like the lust, it was just lust. Yeah. It didn't turn into love. Yeah. But like instead I found this, which is like really close.
Yes.
But has even more meaning.
And more meaning and more you-ness.
Yeah, like, you know,
I get it.
Like pause and trust and yeah.
But isn't it so funny, right? Like it's like the pause, but like, you know, I've been thinking a lot about intuition lately, right? Like, first of all, I don't think you can go wrong with it. Like, and it doesn't have there's no path. Like, because sometimes it would be, like sometimes the intuition is to just do it. Yeah. Get it right now. And then that would be the right thing. Yeah. And sometimes it's wait. And then it turns out that it's just lust and it was the right thing to wait. Yeah. And then other times it's wait and find out that it is love now. And now but all of them are right. Like it's just what feels. So it's almost just like going with that like deeper feeling. What is it saying?
And allowing yourself also, right? Because I think, you know, yes, I really think that like envy and jealousy and like the frustration of not having is like so close to love. It's so close.
So similar. Yeah.
Right? It's so similar. Like one could say that there is like sacred desire or like love inside of those things. But I think we, some of us are socialized to like push that away. Yes. That like the moment that feeling comes up, we're like, oh, no. But like, what if you could like allow yourself to like dive into it?
Like I don't want to wait for it kind of thing. Like I want to. Yeah. So I was like excited about something yesterday, and I was interested in the experience. Like I had to wait to do it. It was something I was going to go do, and like waiting to do it, I was like, this is interesting. There's a part of me that wants to get rid of this. I just want it to be. I want to go do the thing. But then I'm like, no, wait. Part of this is this enjoyment of waiting.
The anticipation.
Right? So it's like, that is a whole other piece of this that's separate from the doing. Yeah. But doesn't have to be lost. So when it comes to like, you know, wanting things, I've been doing the same with certain like fibers and, you know, and patterns. So I'm like, wow, like I can actually just experience this lusting for this.
The wanting
in and of itself. Yeah. And enjoying that without jumping straight to like, okay, I'm getting it, just like you're saying, right? And then that all goes away because it's like, I'm done. I haven't like actually experienced the fun, you know? Yeah. It's like Christmas, if it was Christmas, like my favorite part of Christmas is Christmas Eve.
The lead up to Christmas?
Completely. Like the actual Christmas day is like, oh, okay. You know, like, but it's like the, like, I mean, and nowadays as an adult, it's not as exciting, but even as a kid, like, it was like, that was the fun. And then it was and not like, I mean, the Christmas day was also fun, but they were separate processes. Yeah. And like you're saying, it's like, I think you're saying, don't rush it and have that ability to maybe take that pause if it feels right.
Yeah, if it feels right.
Yeah, but it's not the frantic nature of like, I must, or else this thing's going. Because, you know, and I think we've talked about this too, but that whole connection between joy and vulnerability, right? That they are two sides of the same coin. So as soon as you have joy, which I would say lust can feel like that too. Yeah. We have an immediate awareness that maybe that won't be there forever and we better grab it now. Yeah. So it's like, I must, and it's waiting and saying, no, actually this part doesn't need to be true. Yeah.
And I think it's so prolific, like in our craft. Yeah. Like I notice it so much, especially like, you know, the way that like even the institution having podcasts or like following other knitters is like, there's so much, like I experience like lust all the time. Right? And the fact is, like, this is a slow craft. Yes. And it's, you know, for me, there's a choice to savor and enjoy it. And if I'm going to savor and enjoy it, I cannot have all of the things. Yes. And so, like, something happened for me, like, personally in the past couple of months of just, like, shifting my relationship to that, like, I need to have it, I want to have it, I gotta buy it, I have to, you know, and I feel like since I've sort of like let go a little bit and like allowed myself to really dive into like, what is it about this that I love so much? Now I get like the even more amazing.
Yes, because you knew it is what it's supposed to be. Can I say too, and I'm not sure if this is totally related, but I was literally just listening to it yesterday. Like, so I'm listening to a book, and they were making a distinction. They were talking about lust and love, and I remember this distinctly. I don't even know if maybe it was a quote or it was in the book. That it's like saying red wine and blue cheese are beautiful together, and they like enhance each other, and they go together. But we can forget that red wine is very different from blue cheese. So it's almost like in our minds, we can put them together as if they're the same and they come together, but they're two completely different things and they can enhance each other. But you don't want to lose the fact that they are different. So like kind of believing, you know, that you must have it all. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's like that there is a difference. And if we can appreciate them as their own selves, maybe there's something, you know.
Yeah, I also think, so what comes up for me when I listen to is I think about when you see when a pattern comes out and you really love it, or like yarn or fiber, or like
or every podcast or like I put on something and I'm like,
right? We have a lot of blissful moments on this podcast, and it's like, you know, like taking the time to allow yourself to like to really savor the wanting, and in doing that, it's like I think that in allowing myself to really savor the wanting and not casting on immediately, not running out with Carmen's fiber, right? Like I have the opportunity to be like, is what I really love red wine, blue cheese, or red wine and blue cheese?
Yes.
And sometimes what I realize it's the red wine, and I will go out and like find the red wine without the blue chease. You know what I'm saying? Rather than like just going for it.
Like they're the same kind of thing.
Like yarn and pattern and fit, and like I think that there's a lot of that kind of alchemy in our like creative in our fiber process.
I do too.
So, and like sometimes things need to take the time that they take, and that's what I like. I have a lot of whips, and what I've realized with my whips is like, things take the time that they need to take, and in allowing them to take their time and allowing myself to like try and pause and put it in the like uninterested corner and then bring it back, it's unfolding in a perfect timing that it's like such an enjoyable process. So can I talk about that? Because there is a knit I'm already talking about it.
I love it.
Can we
As
switch?
if I was going to say no.
No,
like, I was going to make a joke and I was like, I can't even.
Do you feel complete with that conversation?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, this is a joint thing. So if you've been here for a while, you know my lusting for the Eurus sweater. So the Eurus sweater is a sweater by, should I pull it up? Should I try and pull it up? So it's an all over cable knit by the design team Agio Knits.
Oh, of course it's in the wrong row for me to try.
Let me try and pull it up as if, you know, for your viewing pleasure, and because it's so gorgeous, it just like needs a moment. So how did we do this before?
There you go.
So I have been in love with the sweater forever. I've talked about it a number of times, and I cast it on in one of my favorite Nutiden colorways, Omni, which is delicious. But then fast forward to Carmen traveling to the land of where one can get
It's not. I can tell you, I couldn't get it in the Netherlands either. I looked because I wanted to keep going.
Keep going.
I couldn't find it, at least wherever I was. I couldn't get it.
Anyhow, so Carmen got the yarn that the sample was knit in, which is, I rarely knit something in the sample piece. But although I love this, and I love how it looks. I had to acknowledge that I feel like I was forcing the Nutiden to be something that it didn't want to be. And so that's why, like, I mean, the ribbing was gorgeous, but by the time I got to like the cables, I think it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
I think it's beautiful.
I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up getting finished after.
Yeah, it's true. Like, this might be my second pancake, right?
Exactly.
But there was something about it that I was just like, no, Jackie, like, this is not giving you as enjoyable an experience as the, like, how much I want this knit.
Yes.
Like, it just didn't match.
Yes.
Right? It's kind of like, you know, I got red wine and blue cheese, but in fact I just wanted red wine.
Yes.
So I cast on. Finally cast on.
Look at you.
And I like it, just perfect.
It's
absolutely the perfect sweater
combo and sweater.
Like, it's everything that I thought it was going to be. But it took
Even
a
better
number of iterations to kind of like arrive.
Yes.
And now that I've like arrived at it and cast it on, like, Carmen, when you showed this last episode and you were like, the sleeve just like flies off. And
Yes.
I'm looking, I was, you know, I'm giving my usual Carmen, like, not all of us are like
exactly.
prolific, like, love an all over cable. Consider me changed, convinced, because it is just this wool combo plus the color and the pattern, like, it is
so intuitive. You're not looking at any charts. You get it. You're reading or knitting. It makes it so much nicer.
It's so lovely. I'm so happy to have it on my needles. It is a task to put it down.
Yes.
I was knitting this while we were away. It's the sleeve is like the perfect travel knit, and then I ran out of wool because I didn't think.
So what is happening with this sweater that we're both doing this? I brought so much wool on my trip.
Yeah.
But
not
I
this.
knew I was gonna make this, and I'm like, why am I not? How did I just not?
To be fair, I brought one skein, and I was like, I'll just get through the ribbing and like see how I feel about it, because after can we just
Oh yeah, nice.
like, there's a bit of a size.
I was just gonna say, when I was looking at yours, I'm like, that's different gauge.
After Carmen's giant sleeve, I was like,
Can we see the size?
I can do like this.
Oh, and here's my crazy, what the heck?
Your bubble?
My weird bubble.
bubble?
I don't get it. It only happens in some places though. Luckily it's on the bottom, I guess. I don't know.
So after I was like, I'm just gonna bring one skein, and I'm just gonna cast on, and like this, I'll do this on, you know, in the waiting room at the gate while I'm waiting for the plane, when I like don't want to take all the other things out, because everything else that I'm knitting is like has badillion strands of color work.
Yes. This
Hashtag
is so
the
nice.
tessellated pullover by Drea Renee Knits, which is gorgeous. But I'm definitely at the place where I'm like, I would like to knit something that doesn't have 6 strands of stuff. Anyway, not in a happy place with that knit. Did not bring it. But my plan was like, I'm just gonna like do the ribbing and then start the cables and sort of see if I go down a couple needle sizes from Carmen, what is the size sleeve, and then
And then 2 seconds later, you're like,
I've like done. It's such an interesting construction. Like, there are parts where you do have to like stop and read the pattern, because you're like, what is happening?
Well, and that pattern is now so much better.
It's so much better.
It was before the first one.
The first
made
one,
no sense.
I was like, I don't know what to do, and then I opened the second version because you told me there's been an update, and the update is dynamite.
Yeah.
It like leaves.
You're
it's
then like,
so
oh.
amazing. It's like your hand is held through the process,
And it's actually really easy.
It's so like
It's what you think it is, but the way they said it initially, you're like, that what?
it's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It was excruciating to watch. I keep saying it in this way because it's exactly how I felt. To watch my ball dwindling.
I was like,
and I'm like, how much? Very much. I'm like, please, I can't stop knitting it. And then I tried to look for this wool when I was there, and it would be a different like lot. And I didn't even care. I was like, even if there's a massive like difference, I would have been okay
at your
with it.
big one?
Yes. So I wish I was in a space that was
you're
like.
so far.
This was 2 seconds.
It's so beautiful.
It felt 2 seconds.
It's not 2 seconds, but it really does go. It really
This
does
in comparison,
go.
like, to be honest,
Have you blocked yours? I'm okay. I don't want to make assumptions.
Why? I'm very consistent.
I don't know.
Make assumptions.
If I had knit that sleeve, I would have been blocking it to be like, oh my god.
Oh my God.
But I think it
think I can do it this way. So this is the way it is, and so this is the back.
Okay, let me not pull out any
out of
needles.
here.
Look at that!
Guys,
It's gonna be so good.
It is so good. And you add like you add the bottom.
There's gonna be a turtleneck and a long
Yes.
rib. Oh my god.
Oh my god. And so now I'm doing the front. So this is going this way,
You're
right?
gonna knit it sideways. Oh my god.
And then
it's
this
so
is
good.
gonna that'll link
Oh.
together. So we have this
so
like,
good.
and so yeah, we'll see with the sleeves. I feel like things will stretch. Okay, I don't know if, yes, I will be able to handle that. I won't even look at it. But what the hell did I do? What did I do?
Tension is
I'm
interesting.
gonna have to see in my like the
Well,
second sleeve.
this is why I thought, did you block the bottom?
I did not.
And that's why it's like pouchy. Because can we just talk about blocking in cables? I totally did this for you guys last night.
You blocked it?
I blocked a segment so that you could see what it looks like blocked versus unblocked.
Of course you did.
And like I gotta say, when I look at it on camera here, I kind of like the unblocked version.
Okay, hang on. No. Oh, so blocked, unblocked?
No,
Other way?
opposite. This side is blocked and this side is unblocked. So
That
like
is
unblocked,
significantly
it's
different.
so it's like really springy.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean the fabric that it's made blocked is amazing. But a part of me is like, why is
just on the thing?
the
Wow.
isn't it amazing? And that's a steam block. I steam blocked it like on the wrong side. And it's like my cables like fell down. But it's okay.
Not in a bad
And not in
way.
a bad way. Like I think
But
if I had if I'd seen that, I would have been like, that's gorgeous. Comparatively, I'm like, oh my gosh, these cables are amazing. But when you feel it, it feels like tight. It doesn't have that drapey.
It's
drapey
significant.
aspect.
Yours is significantly different. Going like your gauge being smaller. It's the same, but it has such a different feel to me.
it.
Like it's so much more structured. I like it just as much, but it's so wow. That's incredible what a difference it can make.
Right? So when people say like we all have different hands and you can start with the same material and end up with two different things, like I'm really excited to see how this shapes out for both of us, and I'm super excited for the moment where we're both wearing our finished sweaters. I don't know when that's gonna be, but like
You know, well, I've got a few things I think we'll talk about. I'm feeling stressed.
yes. Feeling stressed. Why are you feeling stressed?
About Rhinebeck.
Oh yeah, it's very possible that I'm going to show up to Rhinebeck. I was thinking actually about our friend Lily from the Curatorial and Knits podcast and how she showed up at Rhinebeck with the almost finished Alpenglow, but she didn't finish the sleeve, and she's like fabulous. So she just like threw a blazer on and it looked amazing, and like there was no sleeve, and I was like rifling through my closet to be like,
just in case.
what jacket
I
am I
have
gonna
to-
need to do
I'm gonna walk
in
around
order
with
to
half
get
done.
the Rhinebeck sweater done.
This
like
is it.
Anyway,
I'm feeling nervous. And do you know why though? I'm like, I need to get it done. So I need to make this tessellated.
I don't need to.
Well, I do. Because you're gonna finish yours.
I might. I
You
might not. It
will.
feels like I
or
won't.
whatever. You're gonna
I
have it
might
enough
have this.
that you're gonna go on the hill
Oh,
with Andrew Mowry, and I won't be able to come. It's my ticket. So I've got to do it. I got to do it.
I didn't even think about that hill.
I
moment.
did. I'm
Oh,
like,
dang.
gotta get this done.
Gotta knit for the hill.
I'm knitting for
But
the
I
hill.
just wanna
But I have a
knit
plan now,
this.
so it's okay.
I just want to knit this.
I know this is the problem. But maybe like, so that's my focus. I'm like, this is candy. Like this is dessert. And no, it's cocaine. It's like I can't.
No, there's no downside to this. Cocaine has a downside. What's
Okay,
the downside
sure.
to this?
That I will not do anything else.
Oh.
I don't know if cocaine, I've never done cocaine. But like, you know, where it's like, I don't want it, nothing else, like nothing else, give me more, 15 minutes is not enough, like go.
It's
Next
like when you have your first boyfriend and the rest of your life evaporates because you just like want to be with him or her or them constantly. That's this. I'm like, goodbye social life. Goodbye everybody.
I don't want to do anything else.
Like, I just want to be knitting on this.
Maybe it's not cocaine, it's heroin. You know, like when
Okay,
people just
again,
sit there.
all the drug references, there's, I guess like it's
receptors.
the same thing.
It's the same like endorphin and like
I'm not hurting anybody.
endogenous opioids. I'm just saying.
getting high
There's
on my own
nothing else.
supply.
There's nothing else when this is in the orbit. Like, it's like, that is it. So I can't.
All consuming.
I can't do just a little. I can't do just a little. It's a full out. So I feel like I need to move to my, like, I need to get the tessellated done. Up.
I want to, so you have a plan now. You didn't have a plan.
Yep.
Can we talk about your tessellated
Yes,
plan?
very quickly.
Oh my God, we
far
did
as we
make it to
can do.
3 hours.
Oh yeah, we'll try. Okay. So one of our, we were up.
No, they're upstairs now.
Yes, I don't even know.
I don't know where the dogs are anymore. It has been oddly quiet though.
It has been. I've been like, oh, okay, let's just go fast. So we were in the north of Holland.
You can't make this up,
There
guys.
is a sign on the door that says, "Do not ring the doorbell. Please do not ring the doorbell." Guys, I can't come to the door. The sign. Read the sign. It's right there. It's okay. It's just a kid. I told him to go away. We live in a neighborhood where it's like it's an amazing, like, all the kids are out always playing, so there's just always kids coming in the door, and so I'm like another parent. So when I say out of here, they're like, okay. Anyway.
Tessellated pullover
Thank you.
plan.
No, we were up. Okay, so we were up in North Holland, which meant like exploring all these things that I never would have done. Right. So like when you go to Amsterdam, you generally do that. You might do some of the other like Utrecht or like Haarlem or like some of the other like cities. We ended up in this place called Alkmaar because it was a 20-minute drive away, and we were like, why not? Let's just go. Great. And then we're walking around. I didn't even look. Again, for some reason, I wasn't looking for wool. Maybe because I'm so saturated with wool, like I don't need more. But we're walking along these beautiful streets, like old, gorgeous. Like I've got some pictures on my Instagram of
this town is beautiful.
This store. We're literally walking around. The kids go into a store because I think in that place there's like a lot of like these little cows or something that are colored. Like, you know, like we've got the moose in Canada. You've got like these like moose that have like all the colors. I think they were cows or something. And they're like, look at the cows, or ducks, something. They went in, and I had just walked a little further, and I'm like, I'm not going in. And then I look over, and what am I standing right in front of? But this beautiful yarn store. Like, I was like, hello, like, I'll see you guys soon. And I go in and meet with this amazing woman, and I'm saying Lena. I hope I'm getting that right. See, again, these are the things that I could have prepared for. But anyway, she gave me the cutest little project bag. So it's Colchis? Probably nowhere near pronouncing that right, but that's the name of the store. Isn't that fun? And the ram, I just realized, I'm like so Aries. Lena. I love it. Anyway, so I'm in there, and you just can tell in a kindred spirit. Like, so it was like, I was just walking and she was like, and I can't even remember what she said. And I was even holding my bag of Stephen and Penelope's stuff because she just said something about knitting. I'm like, I bring knitting everywhere. She's like, get this. And she's like, so I just want you to know, in my store, like everything is, I only carry like really natural wools, ones that I source, that I like know the farms, they all come from the UK, like all this, and I'm just like, yeah, what?
Dream yarn
like
store.
I'm like,
Dream
she's
yarn
like,
store.
and there's some different breeds. I'm like, you are like, I'm in. I am into this. And then like she's like, and she had spinning fiber too, and so I was like, yeah, and it was just look on my IG for the pictures, like it's just
you can
the
just
cutest.
see. Okay, on your IG, you can see gorgeous pictures of the store, but you can also just see like the joy that is exploding out of you.
Smile.
Like as you guys took that photo together, I was like,
oh my god,
so beautiful.
There was so much, and so when I'm there, and like I go to the like, it's all this wool is kept in the fibers in this like really like lovely old like antique.
It looked like so much personality.
Cupboard, like like it's just beautiful,
rustic, gorgeous.
Yeah.
I feel like that, that's the store that you go to and you're like, I want an heirloom knit, you go there.
Yeah. And she was making a, like, I think it was a Guernsey, I think, sweater she was making. And like, but really, she's been waiting to do this thing for so long, and she's making it with like Aran weight, but on size 2s. Like it's like crazy. She's like, it hurts me to make this, but it's going to be like a real, you know, like that's going to block out
the classic.
Yeah,
classic,
the wind and the weather. Like if you're a fisherman, you need it. This is what she's making. So I was already like, oh my God, I'm in love. So anyway, I don't need to say the whole thing with that store, but one thing so I'm like, I'm buying something, I'm making something. And in that moment I was like, oh my God, I need to make this tessellated. And I'd been thinking about it. I was going to make the vest, but when I saw yours, I think I need the pullover. I know. So anyway.
It's a lot of stitches, man. I mean, you're good with tiny needles, but I'm like, oh, I'm dying. Anyways.
Well, I've got a lot of tiny needles these days, but anyway, I ended up, I was going to bring the actual braid, but anyway, there was so she had some Romney. I know. I was like, oh, Jackie's Romney. Every time I see Romney, I'm like, I think of you. This it was called Rust something. Shoot, I could have got it, but I won't. It doesn't matter. So I am spinning this as my contrast. I'm gonna make this into a spin cycle kind of look.
Are you doing fractal?
Fractal.
Yeah.
So this is the one. This is spun basically, and I only split it into two, I think. So I split the whole thing in, and then end to end in two almost. And now I'm spinning. I think I'm splitting it into 5 or 6, the other side of it.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of changes, but you can see it's so what's coming out, there's a rust, there's this teal, and then
there's this rosy pink.
Yes.
The camera is not getting
it's not coming in
pink.
exactly, and almost even a little purpley sometimes.
Yes.
It's got, I just loved it. And I'm like, okay, so this one, I need it. I love this. And then she had a set of and then I was like, do you have any sport weight? And there was one type of wool that she had. No, there were 2 types of wool that she had sport weight, but there was one I was like, this is it. Again, my jam.
Done.
UK, I'll read it in a second, but she had a bunch of colors and I looked and I was like, oh, I know exactly. I know exactly.
That's so brilliant. I never in a million years would I think to go with that one, but of course. And
it was funny because Lena, she was because she had gone up to get something for the to pay. We had to do it through a whole other system because it wasn't taking the credit card and everything, whatever. So she came back and I was like, I'm gonna make this, and she's like, oh well, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, what do you think? And she actually was like, oh
yeah.
Yes.
This is your color genius, Carmen.
I don't know. I hope. My fear is that some of the thing I'm with the orange.
Lose the rest.
Will that still be good with this? But I think it will. Now that I'm looking at this, I think it will. And the next question, of course. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say. So this is. Oh yeah, it was a blacker yarn. So she had been talking about that, and so I was like, this is going to be perfect. 100% pure new wool, worsted spun. So. I'm at first I was like, maybe I just do this because in the tessellated there's 3, right?
You have a main color, a color changing color, and a fluff color.
So a baby Surrey silk mix. So I'm just gonna pull this out. This was literally before we started the podcast. I just grabbed the Surreys that I had that I'm considering, and so I thought, I'll ask people's opinion. So we could go with a purple. Which it's funny, in person, I like it a little bit more.
I like it better in person.
Because in that person, I don't like.
Because in person, this it looks purple, but it actually has teal in it.
Yes.
It's teal and purple at the same time.
Yeah. Almost and some lavendery kind of.
I think it's this one's blowing it out almost a little bit. Oh, it's quite nice.
So that's an option. Ooh. Another one, my daughter loved this one, is to go with a green, which I wasn't sure, but when I started looking, I was like, I like these 2 together, but actually
they're really close.
They are very close. That's what I said to her. I'm like, the problem is we have a lot of the blue, so we miss it. But do I need that fluff to be a different color each time? Maybe I do. I do like that kind of look. So there's that. We could pull out the pink.
Oh.
I like these, and I do like that that's going to pull out some of the pinks in here. You guys are not seeing this exactly the same, but I do kind of like that one, right? And I mean, these are just the options I had, just sitting around. There's other, I may end up completely different. What do you think? This one? It definitely makes this look blue. Isn't that funny how it changes? Okay. Well, we know Jackie's opinion. I actually love that this is making this so blue. Just holding the screen.
So here's the thing. about the tessellated pullover. So if any of you are thinking about knitting it, please don't let my doldrums discourage you from knitting it. It's so gorgeous.
Oh, it's so gorgeous.
It's so gorgeous. But here's the thing that's really interesting about the tessellated pullover. I might have talked about this last time. I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but I think it bears, like, it's related to this conversation. So the tessellated pullover technically is 3 colors.
Yes.
And usually when there's spin cycle or color changing yarn involved, that's like the star of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And the tessellated pullover, because of the way that the mosaic stitch is happening, this is the star. Your fluff strand is the star, and your the like color changing yarn actually sort of goes into the background. So it's more like you're thinking about, like, here are my main colors and here's my contrast, as opposed to thinking about there being
an
3,
overall,
like a trinity of equal colors, because the way that the pattern works in terms of the geometry and the color changing is that this drops into the background, which is one of the reasons I think that it's really amazing. If you think about, if you were to look at my tessellated pullover, I don't have 3 high contrast things. What I have is my background color, so my solid color and my color changing color are almost the same color.
Right.
And then I have a
I
contrast.
like the way you have that.
Which makes it almost like a 2-color.
Yes.
2-color tessellated as opposed to like a 3-color tessellated.
Right. So when these things are close, it won't be too much of a problem.
Yeah.
So, they
I
colors.
really think that the magic is in choosing this color. Like, you have to love the Surrey color.
Have to, like, swatch.
And I do think that it's nice to have a contrast between your fluff and your color changing.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It totally does.
Like, that's
so
sort of when I think
it's
about
better
it.
to have these. So these ones are fine to be too close.
Yeah.
But those are the ones you want to make sure are, like, not. See, that's too bright as I look at it this way.
Yeah.
It doesn't look as bright in them.
And then, you know, I think the other thing is that I think that even though the color changing color kind of becomes part of the background color, I do think that what makes that pullover so visually interesting is that, like, there's a subtle something that's happening in the background that's not, like, coming forward in your face, but it's exactly that subtle shift that makes it so, like, I mean, I feel like that was one of the pullovers that it came out and everyone was like, "Ma." I mean, Andrew Rowery is prolific, and usually when she drops a pattern, like, the knitting world is just like lust. But there's something about that pattern stitch that I think is really kind of, like, clever and mysterious, and I think it's that, like, this is in the background actually creating visual interest.
Interesting.
Right? I mean, this is my vote. However, you're a color genius, and I know that you will land on whatever one is absolutely gorgeous.
I have to go back and forth. But I did like, it's so funny when you hold things up and you're not sure. This was the one I wasn't even sure initially. Like, I almost threw it away, and then I was like, maybe. And then I'm like, no, but look at how it really.
And when I was looking at all the different samples, I was sort of thinking about, you know, what's gonna bring this forward a little bit more, because it has a tendency to kind of fall into the back. So what's gonna, like, bring it forward?
Right. Beautiful.
Oh my God, this is also, but this colorway, this colorway is so good.
I know, I love it. Oh my goodness. It was one of those ones where you see it and you're like,
done.
I must have.
Done.
I must have.
It's like bronzy, rusty. It's so good, Carmen.
Almost worth the pain of knitting it.
I think you'll like it.
I will like it for this amount. And I'll be like, I just am scared it's going to be a Strada situation. I'm nervous. It's like,
I think the only way to know.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing: the only way to know is to cast it on, and then see how you feel.
I gotta do it. I gotta do it. Well, I'm gonna do it.
Here's the thing with all the dream knitting: at the end of the day, you really don't know until you cast it on.
True.
You do not know.
And I'm motivated. I want to be on that hill. Just do. I want to be on the hill. Something's gonna happen, but I might not be done.
Are there any sample knitters out there who would like to knit our tessellated pullovers, or do you have a tessellated pullover that you would like to mail to us so that we can go?
I was gonna say, are you going to Rhinebeck? Anybody want to make 2 so that I can wear their second? Just in case.
This is so Carmen. This is so you, though. This is such a classic thing. You're like, we're doing it. Oh, I forgot we were doing it. I'm doing the vest so that I can make it
smaller,
super fast, and it can happen quicker. Now you're, like, spinning it. Like, it's become the most epic project. But you're good at epic projects. You are. You're like, remember when I was like, toothpick knit Cal, and you're like, Jackie, I'm always doing a toothpick knit.
Sure.
Here's another Cal idea that you're putting out that actually, this is the opposite. Normally I'm like, let's do a Cal, and you're like, Jackie, I can't participate.
I just did this and I don't want to do it again.
And then the other Cal we're running, which is like, super casual. You're like, yeah, everything I knit is in this Cal.
Like, well, I feel like I was very enthusiastic about that, Cal. I was like, I win the world. it's mine. Oh shoot, I'm not qualifying for the prize.
So
I would have had 1 million entries.
So yeah. Well,
Beautiful.
we've broken 3 hours. I feel like, did we even show that much knitting? I don't know.
Oh God, I feel like we showed a lot of knitting.
Showed a lot of Fleurs.
I'm gonna say one thing. I can't believe I forgot that I did finish one other thing. One other project. I know we already talked about them, but I just want to make the point. So these are do you remember we were talking, this is my handspun?
So
actually this is coming out a lot nicer. I feel like our the lighting over there, we couldn't see it. So you can see like how fun. So this is I'm a designer.
You are a designer.
I've just become one because I changed
designers.
something. Well, true, but
some of us have more
did
assistants
different
than others.
Are you ready?
This is kind of cute.
This is what I did. And you made me laugh, but I think this is gonna work so well in the winter. Now, my problem in the winter is my texting, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes I wanna just do the little thing. And so that's why I like gloves, like
half mitts.
But this time, this stuff gets cold. Like when it's like minus 15, it's too cold. So this is my decision. I ended it, and I'm like, let me see.
Fun.
I'll report back. It looks a little silly, maybe, but when it's practical, when all the other suckers are really like
cute,
freezing.
actually. I feel like they're really cute.
I don't have my phone, but
also your nails go really well with those gloves.
They do. So that was my update. I just wanted to say.
Oh my God, they're so gorgeous.
They're really cute. I love them. I love them.
handspun.
Me too.
I love handspun.
There is something very special, I will say, about wearing your handspun. Like it does.
And I think wearing your handspun and knitting with your handspun is it's like a knitter forward experience, in the sense that like I feel like you're really being nurtured by the process, and whether that's reflected outwardly, like aesthetically or not, whatever. But it's like, to me, it's such an affirmation of like, I knit for me, and there are aspects to this process that maybe nobody will understand how much it's giving to me. Like handspun is like, dial that up 10 badillion.
Yes, I know. It really is cool. And when I process this fleece eventually, and then spin that, and then knit something from it.
Yeah, that'll be for another episode though, right?
Is there anything that you feel just like there, where I'm like, I just want to tell you guys this one last thing?
I don't think so. There are a couple of, I'm like looking at all of the finished objects. Next time.
Oh my gosh.
I feel good.
I feel good too. I feel very good. I feel so, we say it every time, but I just want to say, I don't know what it was about our last episode in the comments that came.
Yeah.
It's like they've always been amazing. I've always enjoyed them, but this was so extra that I haven't been able to respond to any of them because they were too good that I couldn't do fast response. Does this make sense?
Yeah, it's totally.
And then I didn't have enough time to go back. So it feels now like, how can I? So I just want you to know, I hope I find some time to be able to go through all those comments and respond, but just please know, they
mean so much.
Like when you write things about yourself and your experience and we get to know, like it's so lovely. I mean, honestly, the affirmations, like when you say like something beautiful about, how we're inspiring you, those hit my heart too. Like it's just amazing. But also when you say like what you're doing, and how it impacts you.
Your story. When we get those comments, I get totally overwhelmed.
Me too. I can't respond because I have so many things to say.
What's the response
captures.
that honors how much we're moved. And I think both you and I, after the last episode and, you know, the stories that you shared and the fleurs that you're making and the intentions behind that, like, and the kind words that you had to offer us and about, you know, our podcast and our friendship and our knits and all that kind of stuff. Like I was like overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's like the feeling when somebody gives you a perfect gift and you're just
yes,
you're like gobsmacked
stunned,
and you
like
don't
paralyzed.
know. I'm like,
I don't know where to start.
Like we're there.
Yes.
That's where we are
This
with
is
our
where we're
comment section.
Yeah. And I just
And, like,
really wanted to make
tears.
sure, exactly. Like,
We were in
I
tears.
can't even
Like, I
tell you
can't.
how wonderful. And it's so funny because it's so wonderful that I wanted to say this to make sure that you don't think it's the opposite.
it's not.
You know, that it's like, oh, now like they don't care to respond.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the opposite. It's so amazing. I don't know how to respond. So anyway, I just wanted to put out there, thank you. We read every word oftentimes more than once.
More than once.
Like, yeah. And it just...
And we have words about your words with each other.
Yes.
Just like, oh my God.
And it
crying
makes us feel
again.
like, thank God.
Like,
thank you, people being out. Like, thank you for this community. Like, anyway, so please, thank you. Thank you. And I hope you give us the grace that when we haven't responded, it's, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We missed you. We missed being able to do this. I missed you.
I know.
And we'le be back.
Soon, maybe even both them.
Yeah, we have a time. We'll be back pre-Rhinebeck, and you will get to see all our half-finished Rhinebeck knits. Although I'm like, I'm gonna wear this to Rhinebeck.
I know. I'll have a Rhinebeck.
Like we have so many gorgeous sweaters.
I have no concern except for that hill, because if you go on the hill, I'll be like, I want to go on the hill.
No one's gonna kick you off the hill.
I would.
No one's gonna kick you off the hill for a half-finished hill. For a
half-finished is fine. Half finished, I think, is fine. But if I haven't started it,
I could just have this vision of you completing
the
rigging and just like wearing it.
Yeah, there is a level that I know I need. I need to have. I mean, God, this would be okay. But I think it's bottom up. Isn't
It's
it?
bottom up.
Damn it!
It's bottom up. Which is why I'm like, I just see like a tube, like a tube.
I wear it just around. Can I wear it as a bracelet?
Like a tiny cowl.
Andrea, I did it!
You just do a swatch. Just show up with your swatch.
Actually, I'd be like, you don't know me, but this is even more impressive than a sweater because I swatched. Oh my God.
I feel though, like, whatever.
I love it.
I want to see what this becomes.
Me too.
And I think that, like, I believe that like creative impulse, that like spark, like I'm fanning it so it turns into a fire, and you're like, I just need to cast it on so that you know whether you love it or not.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: if you hate knitting it, I'm not going on the hill even if mine is done.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So I can live vicariously. Somebody's gotta go.
I mean? Like,
but
this
thank
is
you
not
for
why
that.
we
even
knit, you know.
Fair. But thank you for that sentiment. But that's not gonna happen. Force you to go.
We're going on with our swatches.
Or I'll grab yours and put it on.
We're here.
Jackie, let me go in her stead.
You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that there are people out there who know exactly how to style that swatch so that they could go to the hill, you know? Like, there'd be like a cute jacket and they just put it in like a pocket square and be like, I'm here with my tessellated.
Do you know what I just thought? Because this is how things roll in my life. Like, part of the reason I'm not prepared is because people save me. I would not be surprised if someone out there is going to make two and bring me one. Like, and will DM me and be like, hey, Carmen, did you finish it? Because I got an extra if you need it. And then I'll be able to go. But I'm just putting it out there. Not that you need to start. I just wouldn't be surprised. But I'm going to make mine.
You're gonna show up and it's gonna be like that scene in Friends where Joey puts on like everything.
Chandler's clothes.
Like all of Chandler's clothes. You're gonna show up on the hill and I'm gonna have one swatch and you're gonna have like 6 pullovers on.
I will.
And that would be a perfect encapsulation of our energy.
None of them mine.
guys.
And we will see you soon. Oh, and we will see you. Well,
we'll see you very soon with a little
the
snippet with the
info.
giveaway winners. Thank you for the grace of giving us the time to do that and figure out how to do it in a way that makes sense and is fair after the chaos of, oh yeah, well, these prizes, and what are we gonna do?
They will come.
They will come.
Just takes a while.
We love you so much.
Yes, we do.
And follow your desire. Just like let yourself love what you love. And keep sharing your stories with us and each other.
Beautiful.
Yeah? Bye.
Bye, everyone.